Hello, a very good evening. Welcome to Riyadh. Welcome to the King Abdulaziz race course here, where we're set to bring you 8 races this evening, 3 of them on the turf. The weather has suddenly taken a turn for the worse, literally in the last few minutes. Have a look at these. These are pictures coming in as you watch on the English-speaking YouTube channel, and that rain is coming down. It's as heavy as it appears on screen. It really is. And we're expecting that the rain could continue for a fair bit longer indeed. The possibility of rain all the way through until around about midnight local time, which is in around 3 hours, or about 3 hours 20 minutes. So we've been hit by that rain. We weren't expecting it, and it arrived within the last 30 minutes. And as you can see, it's great to get a picture of it, but you don't want to be out there too long. You want to be back in the jockey's weighing room, and it is a rather empty paddock at the moment. So there's the scene. Those who've been here more than me over the past few seasons tell me this is the worst rain it has been here at Riyadh for quite some considerable time. So we're due to start our first race at 9 o'clock. We're due to get underway on the turf. Rory is with me in the studio. We are very lucky to be inside Rory. Callum has ventured out to look after the paddock, of course, for us this evening, but he has taken cover, quite rightly so. But it's nice and dry in the studio, so we're okay, Rory. That's one thing.
Yes, it's a blessing to be inside at a night like this. Normally, Callum gets the best deal standing out in the parade ring where the weather is fine and it's nice and mild.
The weather's been lovely temperature-wise, hasn't it? Around about 23 degrees. It's not going to drop much beyond that. And we were actually saying about half an hour ago what a great night it would be to be outside reporting, catching up with connections. Actually, I think you've got the sort of raw end of the deal at the moment in terms of the way the conditions are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this lasts, because obviously if it's just a passing shower, then we might have a slight delay to the first race. I think in terms of delays, if we've still got lightning around, then obviously you can't have racing in that scenario. But
absolutely, yeah.
If this moves away, then it won't hold us back much. We did lose a day's racing in Taif in the summer with torrential rain, so we do have a little bit of a history for it, but nothing like this in Riyadh since I've been here. So it's a novelty at the moment, but hopefully it stays a novelty. And
yeah, I always think sometimes in these situations it's almost like we've never seen rain. You've never seen rain before, but it really is coming down very dramatically. So we'll keep across that and let you know how the conditions are. Now, Callum was set to be on the turf to build us up the first of 3 turf races. You are officially off the turf, Callum. Where are you?
I've made my way to the grandstand team. There is no way I'm getting out in that weather over there. Typically, the 1 week I decided not to bring a coat with me is the one day where the rain is absolutely hammering down here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse. I must admit, as the guys were saying in the studio, it was beautiful weather this afternoon. It was really like a heavy heat. It was 23 degrees. The sun had just gone in. It was perfect, but it was the ideal condition for a storm, and it is no surprise that we are seeing a storm coming through here now, and we've got plenty of lightning and thunder going on as well. Still, horses have been making their way down to the stabling areas. We know we haven't been cancelled quite just yet, but we will keep you updated as much as we can. We do have precedent for this. 2 meetings in Taif were lost over the summer due to the heavy rain conditions, and because of the programme right now and the fact that we are running on a shortened cars, does mean we might be able to sneak in a couple of races here and there next week, our final week of racing here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse, if we need to. The race I was most looking forward to actually isn't taking place on the turf. It's taking place on the dirt. It's race 6. It's the Abdullah ibn Karim Abba Al Khalil Award. It features Mota Sabeta and Mota Wasiba. So have fun in commentary there with that one. But Mota Sabeta has been a real star this season. She's really enjoyed her racing in her juvenile campaign. She was very unlucky to finish second in a very, very good hot race for the juveniles last time out. This looks a bit of an easier task for her, so I'll be looking forward to seeing what she has to offer in that contest, race number 6. But in the meantime, I must get back to the boys in the studio. They're nice and dry in there. I tell you what, it'll be a long time before I go back out there.
Good luck when you do, of course, Callum. Mota Sabeta likely to be one of 3 odds-on favourites tonight, 2 of which will be in the turf races, which are due to kick the card off, Rory, of course. So let's have a look at the schedule. We've got 3 turf races to start things off. The ground is being described as good to firm, and there you can see we start off with two 1,200-metre races on the grass. Then we've got the 2,100 metres. Asheem Murphy, who did so well here yesterday with 2 winners. He rides in all 3 of those, understandably. Then we've got the local bred handicap at 10.15, the Arabian race at 10.45. Callum's mentioned that award race at 11.10. And those final 2 races, Rory, 650,000 Saudi Riyal for the race horses that went through auction, the fillies and the colts and geldings in 2023. So a couple of real valuable prizes at the back end of the evening.
Yeah, interesting races those. Again, we sort of touched on them yesterday. Horses sold at public auction here, so most of the horses won't be representing those big owners that we were talking about, the Owners' Championship go down to the wire.
Yeah.
A lot of those horses are homebred, or they're bought in the States or in the UK. Again, Sheikh Abdullah Al Sabah, his horses often are bought at the sales in Newmarket or whatever, whereas these are horses bred locally and sold locally. So they represent a wide range of owners. Some very, very interesting stories attached to those.
I mean, a golden opportunity for somebody, and it's not just the win prize, is it? We look at the place money there based on the percentage, how the money's divided. There's some good prizes to be won this evening.
Indeed, there are. So it's a pretty interesting card tonight, and obviously we've been told we've got a delay to the card now because of the rain. So we're waiting to hear exactly how long that will be, and obviously we were told that the going stake reading was 9.5 and the going was good to firm for those turf races to kick off the card. Obviously, we've just had a downpour which will affect that to some degree. So you've got to bear that in mind for the turf races. I think you've got full details. Of
the details are very brief, but they're all you need to know, which is that the start time of race 1 has been amended to 9:15 local time, so it's been put back 15 minutes. Now, obviously, I'm guessing that's an open-ended delay. If it continues as it is, of course, it might be further delay, but there certainly will be no racing until 9:15. Perhaps the worst of it has passed by, although you're across the monitors.
It's certainly fairly much stopped at the moment, just a few drips at the moment. So if it stays like that, then obviously it's just a case of putting everything on hold for a few minutes and then cracking on.
OK, so slight delay. Now, if you want to get involved tonight, obviously via the YouTube channel, you can go to the chat part of that website. Tell us, have you ever seen Right? No, I mean, it's not quite like that, but let us know where you're watching from this evening, what you're most looking forward to seeing tonight. Obviously, those watching perhaps from the UK, or indeed, I guess, worldwide fans of Asheem Murphy would have loved his work last night, Rory. Of course, those 2 winners, a couple of seconds as well. It didn't take him long, did it, to get the feel for this track? We know he's been here before, but he did mention in one of the interviews with Callum last night the big fields, and there's a lot of traffic to deal with.
Yeah, he particularly had a lot of the first race that he won. I mean, he must have been bumped about 12 times in that race by the same horse, essentially. So he had a really rough ride, but came out on top and then ended up winning the next race very easily, and looked like, for all the world, he was going to land the treble. 3 consecutive races, got caught on the line in race number 7 last night. So having had a slightly sticky start, we almost had one of his horses withdrawn at the start. One of them got very upset. The first 2 didn't really want to go in the stalls. We thought, oh, this is going to be awkward for Rosh, and then boom, boom, quick double.
It was boom, boom, wasn't it? Yes.
Absolutely flying at the end. And of course, also going boom, boom yesterday was Callum Helliwell, who had 3 winners on the night. It was a tough old time for us, just 1 winner apiece, but we'll be looking to claw him back tonight. Yeah,
I was trying not to mention that, but I think the producer felt it was only right that we brought that into the conversation. But it is early days. I mean, we're a third of the way through, well, just over a third of the way through. Let's go back to Callum, not to give him an opportunity to brag, of course, but he is leading 3-1-1. Callum.
I am leading 3-1-1 team, and right now we're getting a great shot here because we're going to carry out an assessment on the turf track. You can see Asheem Murphy is out in front. We won't get involved in the assessment of the turf track because I can see Keith Otterson giving me the look that says, Callum, don't you dare come and talk to me. But they are just going to carry out an assessment on this turf course to make sure it is fit for racing. Obviously, there is no better turf rider in the world probably at the moment than Asheem Murphy, and he will be the man who will be the jockey representative taking a look at all things turf. We'll cross with them. I think that should be absolutely fine, but we'll just keep our distance and make sure we don't get in the way. As you can see, tractors just re-harrowing the dirt surface, which, as you could expect, absolutely fine here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse. A brilliant dirt surface which does not turn soupy or wet like you get in America, a sand-based, wood-shaped based surface that can certainly handle all of this. But look at the difference between the harrowed and the non-harrowed parts of the track now. Certainly it's going to be fun when we start racing on it in race 4 onwards. Keith, do you not close that gate on me? I'll close it myself. There you go. There we go. I'll let Nawaf, my cameraman, come through. Just make sure we can all get through here, and we'll just catch up with the guys going onto the turf track as well. Look at me. You can tell I was raised in the countryside, always closed gates behind me. You can see plenty of standing water on the edges, but we're just going to have a look at the turf track. Now, if we'll just stay on this side of the rail, we don't need to go through, but this is what they're having a look at, so they'll take a stride all the way down. You can see the rail has actually moved 6 meters in. That's different to what we had last week, where we had the full width of the track. So you will see slightly smaller fields than we normally expect, and that run of fresh ground has just been taken away. But we will find out more about whether we are going to be racing as soon as possible. But remember, the turf races are the first 3 races on the card, and with these limited cards that we've got now, with only 1 week of the season remaining after this, the one thing you don't want to be doing is losing fixtures. I tell you what, it was definitely a proper downpour, but I'm glad it's moved on. It was a bit lightning-y as well. I think that was a concern for me with the lightning. I do have a bit of a fear of the lightning, so I was very glad to see that I was able to get under some cover, because the last place you want to be is stood out in lightning. So we've got our turf experts here. The gentleman who's just ducked under the rail, he's the man that's in charge of installing the turf. And then you've got Bob in the poncho. I don't think I'd ever put that sentence together. He's in charge of the dirt track. Oklahoma native Bob, just coming behind in the cap. Just the gentleman yet to cross to the other side of the rail in the poncho. He's in charge of the fantastic dirt track we've got here. And what has been said again, and I had a great chat with some of the American connections over Saudi Cup weekend, it is now a dirt track that is becoming world renowned. There are Americans that are feeling very confident to send their horses here, knowing that they're going to have a chance to take on the Europeans. I think there was a concern early on when this Saudi Cup began that actually it was riding almost like a tapeta surface, where the European horses were going to have an advantage, obviously with wins for horses like Mishrif and Palthanasis. You were thinking, oh, hang on a minute, is this favouring turf horses a bit too much? But no, it's just a very fair dirt track, and it really is just another example of a very, very good course. So we're just finding out what's going on here, and we will let you know more updates when we get them. And clearly, I think it's great fun here when I get to talk to stewards and jockeys and clerks of the course, because everyone will always give you the look, which is either, yep, we're happy to talk to you, or the don't you dare come up to and talk to us look. So we're just keeping our distance here, and we'll let you know more when we know more. But look at Oisin Murphy. He'll be happy as Larry in the position that he's in. 2 winners yesterday. It could have been 3. Hey Nabaha with a pretty good, decent performer on her race. Just got run out of things, so we'll go and grab him and find out. We'll grab Keith and find out a little bit more from Keith, who's looking at me with a smile now, which seems to be a bit more positive. Keith, just steady on there.
All very positive. Just sort of just a quick check to see.
15, that is in around 20 minutes time, and there'll be 25-minute intervals between races. Now, some of the local riders, of course, have also come out to just check conditions as well, and also to get a chance to shake hands with Callum, which is a big moment.
Some of them seem to be enjoying more than others.
Yeah, lack of contact with fingers in 1 or 2 cases, but
Mohamed Al Daham is there. We've got Adel Al-Faredi in the orange colours, and Naif. Yeah, you can't miss Naif. You can't see his colours, but you can see his beard. That's all you need.
You're almost suggesting that they kind of said, "Oh, go on, Oisin, you know turf, go out there and."
We're just the only person we're missing now, obviously, is Dale Gibson.
Yes.
As
or somebody
viewers,
from
viewers
the
in
equivalent of the Jockeys Association.
Every time there's a course inspection in the UK, Dale Gibson seems to be leading it, even though he's not riding anymore.
I mean, we joke about it. In effect, obviously, it's right that the jockeys have their say, isn't it, in these situations, rather than just the officials making a decision.
But also what the jockeys who are out there at the moment are doing now, they're not going to come back and say it's not safe to race. They're going to find out how the track is riding and how they want to ride that track, and that's the important thing about walking the track for the jockeys at the moment. Obviously, when conditions change, you might find that because it's a banked track as well, you might find that the inside might be a little bit slower than further out. So they'll want to find out where they think the best of the ground is, and they're looking for a tactical advantage.
Yeah, look, that's a very good point,
job.
isn't it? And you may be analysing the first race and now thinking, well, actually, I'm not sure if I like this horse because of where it's potentially drawn. We're looking at a field of 10, with the reserves coming out, and as it stands, it's going to be not going to change, is it? But Malian, the favourite there, is drawn in stall number 8, so immediately you're considering whether that's...
Yeah, I think statistically in a 10-runner field, stall is the worst place to be. But there obviously aren't huge stats for racing on turf here, but you tend to have similar sized fields. But when the rail is out as it is today, and it is for most meetings outside of the Saudi Cup, you have 10-runner fields on the turf track, so you get to sort of get an idea of how that size of field works out. Yeah, stall 8 would just about be the worst. I would say you'd have thought it's, inside is the best and outside is the very worst. If you're drawn widest of all, you've obviously got the option of moving out a little bit, finding a room. Whereas if you're drawn in between horses, but
you're in the sandwich, aren't you?
Then
exactly.
Your options are limited. So 8 or 9 makes sense that's kind of a worse draw than 10. And in an ideal world, stall 1 is the ideal place to be if you've got the speed to take advantage of it.
I was just wondering whether there'd be any change on that international market, because Marianne is 13-8 with the international bookmakers at the moment, ahead of Rebellious Stage, who's drawn seemingly okay in stall number 5. That's Sheen's Ride, of course, in the white stable colours, second favourite at 9-4. And I think we were looking at pretty big prices. 11-2 bar those. Dr. Kemp was the third choice. Now, time to introduce you, rather belatedly, to our race commentator tonight, who's been watching all this from the skies above. Let's say a very good evening to Mark Francis.
A very good evening to you, Darryl Williams, and to Roy Delaghi, Callum Helliwell, and everybody watching around the world. Yes, pleased to see that we are getting going, albeit 15 minutes late, but the racing goes ahead. And the first 3 races on the programme today are all on the grass that we just saw. Hopefully no change or significant change to the going. Great job from our team getting us through those 15 minutes, and now we can focus on the action on the track. We start, as I say, on the grass, 1,200 metres, 4-year-olds and upwards here. Elzan Blue will head them from stall 6. That's the mount of Ahmed Al-Azhari. 2 is Love de Vega. We've already seen Adel Al-Faredi in those orange and green silks. That is number 2. Malian is 3 for Azil Al-Sahani, and Thama Al-Dahani, the trainer who currently leads the Trainers' Championship and is well clear. 4 is Wakud, Red Stable, a big night ahead. Jimmy Jerkin's training here. Noah Mudiani rides the 4 from stall 10. 5 is Ra Ed for Rayan Al-Taesh, stall 7. And Rebellious Stage, rated 108, looking to return to the winner's enclosure after a difficult spell this campaign, gets Asheen Murphy. Over the page to find 7, Ryan's Party. That is the mount of Luis Morales. Notes numbers 7, 8, 9 and 10 are all drawn. 1, 2, 3, 4. William Tell has the inside for Fahid Al-Faredi, also in the red silks of Prince Faisal bin Khalid. 9 is Moswat from stall 3, Mohammed Al-Daham, who's had a wonderful February to remember. And 10 is Dr. Zemp for Abdullah Al-Hussein. That is the only grey in the field, breaking from stall number 4. That is the field then for the opening race of 8 here in Riyadh this evening. Let's return to the parade ring and rejoin Callum Helliwell.
Thank you, Mark. Lovely to hear your voice in the commentary box this evening. Love de Vega is the first horse we'll look at. Never really a paddock eye catcher, but just a really tough, consistent individual here. Will definitely be there or thereabouts, but could maybe find this a bit too tough. Was meant to run in the International Jockeys Challenge, but didn't quite make the cut in that race, so takes place here. Certainly a horse you can't ignore. Place claims for sure. Let's drop back to horse number 3. The next one coming towards us is Malian. This is horse number 3, goes in the Sama Al-Dahani and Asil Al-Sahani team up here. Interesting. I thought this was the pick really on form, which is interesting to see Asil Al-Sahani on board on this occasion. Really nice type, lovely mover, looks well in the coat, and with a seal in the plate, you'll be very happy with your jockey booking too. Nice cob mane on, not the prettiest of heads, but certainly a good enough walker to make your shortlist, and the form is pretty strong as well. Wakud is horse number 4. This is your typical sprinter, real barrel of a horse, big, strong individual here, Wakud. It was a bit disappointing last time, but that was in a tougher race than this. A winner on penultimate start, and certainly can't be discounted in what is looking like a red-hot turf contest. Let's have a look at Rebellious Stage. This is the 6th, a very expensive overseas import who hasn't quite hit the ground running this season. Really needs to take a big step forward from what we've seen so far. A horse that I'm really keen to keep an eye on today. I imagine this is more of an easier contest. Your only concern would be that this horse just has shown no form of late, but looks in really good shape. And with Oshie Murphy in the plate, a man who's already ridden a couple of turf winners here already this season, it would be no surprise if this gave him a third. Let's drop our way back to the 7. This is Ryan's Party coming towards us now. The horse who was the winner last time out. Really nice looking type as well, Ryan's Party, for his team in the Algarabines, who are really beginning to turn the screw at this point of the season. They had a winner yesterday. They had Bon Viaggio running very well last week. I think their horses are really going to be taking advantage of the end of the season races. So although I would say Ryan's Party is no Paddock eye catcher, certainly can't be ignored on form, and the team are flying right now. The 8 is William Tell. This is Farhad Al Faradi's mount. He'll be taking on his brother Adele. William Tell looks fantastic in the coat, doesn't he? A really, really well turned out individual. Has, again, very much like Love de Vega, a model of consistency. Not the most attractive looking individual you'll ever see. Quite long in the back. You could probably fit a family of 5 on this one's back, actually. But that doesn't stop him from running, and William Tell would hold every chance and certainly looks ready to do the business today. And finally, we'll have a look at Mothwat, the 9, the other Samar Al-Dahani runner. This is becoming a really intriguing horse to follow, Mothwat. Finally got the head in front on penultimate start and wasn't given the best of rides under Sophia Vivas last time out in the Jockey's Challenge, running into plenty of traffic. Actually ran a really good race on that occasion. It would be no surprise to see this horse bounce back under Mohammed Al-Dahan. But the pick for me has to be Samar's other runner. I think Malian looks an absolute picture.
Well, this is why Callum is there, of course, to pick out the positives and the negatives, of course. Thank you very much to those who've already responded. We've only just mentioned, of course, the YouTube channel and the fact you can get involved. Lots have. Greg has been on to say, good show, guys. Turf and Touchdowns podcast. I kind of think I know who that might be. I've put up a Motto Betar, only so I could mispronounce it. Obviously going to be very short.
Yeah, well, then Tom gets the opportunity of saying he meant the other one and you just mispronounced it. So, you know. It's two swings
2
there.
to 5,
yeah.
I think, at the moment. Vic Ash has been on as well, simply to say hi, which is fantastic. Feel free to come back and tell us more, Vic Ash, as the night goes on. Ed Rayfield in New York says, hey, greetings from NYC.
Yeah, of course, Ed is connected to the Jerkins stable.
So
we ran into Jimmy in the cafe earlier on with the owners and trainers lunch, as it were. We went in to get a sandwich and said our hellos to him. So hopefully we'll catch him later tonight. He's got runners on the card. Obviously coming to the end of the season for him, and we think he's heading back to his side after that. So we really would love to get a catch up with Jimmy, but always nice to hear from Ed as well. And
Life is Blessed has been on with a couple of thoughts. I'm guessing this is for race number 1. 2 and 8. 2 and 8 then. So, wow, we've got Love de Vega and William Tell. There'll be prices. So thank you very much for those. Do get in touch. Love to hear from you. As we say, always good to hear exactly where you are when you're watching this programme. Now, we want to show you some video clues, some inserts as regards this race. Going to start with Malyan, and this is the run over that 1351 trip, of course, in the turf qualifier, the sprint qualifier.
Yeah, he won this race well, beating Jcsa on the day, and then he ended up finishing only 9th in the Group 2 turf sprint over the 1351 last time out. That was a really tough international contest. He's looked very good here. He'd run up a 5-timer beforehand on dirt and turf. Looked good this day, and he's on the ratings the one to beat again today. Doesn't have the easiest of draws, as you say. And interesting that Asil Al-Sahani rides him, whereas Mohammed Al-Daham rides the stable's other runner in the race.
That is very, very interesting. Could be significant, perhaps. Now, we want to have a look at Mothwat as well, and this is back in January. This is over the course and distance. Clears away on this occasion.
Yeah, it does well to win this day, Moswat, and Mohammed Al-Daham rides him today. So he's got a little bit to find in the ratings, but he does have a better draw today, and arguably the 1,200 metres maybe suits him ideally. A few of these would be running over the 1351 and be 1,400 metre performers on dirt, but this is an impressive performance in a lesser race than the one we just saw, but clearly in good form, and I think the fact that Mohammed Al-Daham chooses him must be significant.
Yeah, you've got to consider that, haven't you? So we were talking about the draw, and we're trying to factor everything in with the rain, etc. And Malyan has just been nudged out by the international bookmakers, whether that's draw based, I mean, or other reasons, but nudged out to 7-4, Rory, having been 13-8. It's been a very lively market. Obviously, the market's had a little bit more time to take shape. So rebellious stage.
Why don't we run through and you can inform me what the
Let me give you the
prices
prices.
well, yeah.
Yes. So Malyan is now 7-4 from 13-8, number 3. Rebellious Stage is 2-1 from 9-4, number 6. 13-2 is number 9, Moswat from 7, so that's come in a touch as well. And Dr. Zemph has gone out, number 10, from 11-2 to 13-2, and it's 12-1 bar.
I think Dr. Zemph will continue to drift. He's weighted 103, Dr. Zemph, but you know, he was a high-class horse in Ireland a couple of years ago, but his recent form has not been so good. So the big question mark over his current rating, and I could see him being weak in the market as a result. Rebellious Stage is a rating of 108. That's based on his dirt form, but obviously with Oisin Murphy on board, I think plenty of people will be keen to see him able to repeat his dirt form on turf. He's a son of Justify. We've seen a few good Justifiers on the turf in the last year or two. So he's again an obvious one in the ratings. But in terms of the best turf form recently, I'd say Malyan and Moswat are the two who have been showing the best form on this surface.
Yeah, 102 Malyan is rated, 108 Rebellious Stage, but obviously that rating is based on dirt. Oh, it's busy here tonight. Roberto has been on, number 4 in the last race because of the form figures, which are 0-1, 0-1-0, and now thinking that will continue.
You can't be following a pattern, but
so that's the final race, I'm guessing, number 4 for Roberto. And Jigme has been on as well to say good morning from Australia. Good morning, Australia.
Tremendous.
Oisin Murphy, get gritty. Maybe Callum needs to if he gets an interview with Oisin.
He got gritty yesterday, that's for sure.
He did, didn't he?
And he'll be getting turfy today.
Can he get gritty and turfy at the same time?
I think he probably will at various points of the evening, I'd imagine. But yeah, we saw him riding close to his best yesterday, despite the fact that he was clearly, you know, struggling a little bit, getting straight off that long flight, and also needed his asthma inhaler after a really tough ride for his first winner. Not so much after the second one, which was more of a steering job.
Yeah, Roberto's been back on here to say that 4 is a. Now I'm reading this. I'm seeing this Gigant horse, or gigantic maybe is possibly what I think that's probably what Roberto is saying. Anyway, listen, good luck. Good luck. You've got a bit of a wait. Also, DXD has been on to say hope Wakud does good. That's the 4 horse, of course, one of the Red Stable runners, and Life is Blessed, who's put up 278. In this, are we talking a straight kind of cast trifecta type wager? Good Day from London, which is in the UK. Well, I don't know why I read that bit out, but it does say London, UK. He says, I haven't got a clue about horses. Hey, listen, welcome. This is what we're here for, to hopefully try and impart some of Rory's knowledge, some of Callum's knowledge, and anybody else who's got a lot of knowledge that they can pass across. And Proxley's been on as well to say, up the Oisin. So, wow, lots
he certainly draws a crowd, doesn't he, Oisin?
Oh, yeah. He does. And I think, you know, I'm hoping there may be people watching, perhaps some of those who've already messaged in, who ordinarily maybe wouldn't be steering our way, but suddenly you've got the draw of Oisin Murphy, and particularly, how many people, I wonder, Rory, might have seen the results from last night, having not watched, and gone, he's had 2 winners, he could have had 4 winners.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd have said, my best day here is always my second day as well, so maybe Oisin will follow suit. A little bit of hard work on the Thursday. And
so you need the run first day. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah.
That's
always been the way with me.
Okay, we better find a winner. So all considerations, which way are you going?
I'm tempted by Rebellious Stage because of his clash and because I think Oisin Murphy will probably get the best out of him. But I'm going to go for a little bit of value with Muswat. Mohammed Altaham, as fine a jockey as you'll see around here, and his penultimate effort gives him a decent chance. He's well drawn here, so number 9 Muswat for a bit of value.
Okay, not very original for me because Mal Yan has got a good turf record, 2 wins from 3 on the grass. Yes, the draw is a bit of a worry, but all things considered, I think Mal Yan is still the one they've got to beat. Just before we get to Callum Prochley back on, so I was on the 2nd and the 3rd. Oisin, this is, did need the 4th, got a bit unlucky. And what is Roberto saying here? We should know who they've decided to let win this race. Nobody knows, Roberto. If it was all decided beforehand, wouldn't it be so boring? Wouldn't it take all the fun and games out of it? But yeah, Prochley talking about Oisin just getting touched off in the 4th when bidding for that treble, of course, last night. Now, Kyoto in Japan says William Tell he will win. The 8 horse there.
He looked exceptionally well. Callum made the point in the parade ring. He's a hard horse to win with, William Tell, but he's got a chance on the ratings. He's a solid performer, always there or thereabouts. Form figures recently 2-2-2-3-3, including a good third to Hunky Tonk Man here last time out. Should be on the premises. As I said, he doesn't maybe win as many as he should, but he's always there or thereabouts.
There we are, and Life is Blessed is thumbs up to Kyoto's selection of William Tell. So lots going on. You can follow all that chat, of course, on the YouTube channel. We need to go to Callum, though, who's been very busy in the early part of this evening's card here at Riyadh. But what we need to know above anything else from you at the moment, Callum, is the winner of race 1.
Well, I'm hoping, team, the winner of race 1 will be Mal Yan, who comes out of stall 8. Horse number 3 looked a picture in the paddock and is partnered by Athil Al-Sahani. Now, you might be wondering, Athil Al-Sahani, don't hear much about him. Well, that is why you need to be part of our channel and watching week in and week out, because Athil has had a very good back end to the Riyadh season. He has basically taken over from Ricardo Sosa Ferreira, who is now back in Spain with his contracted rides out there as they build up to their flat season. So Athil has stepped in and is very capable, a very, very capable rider who's been in cracking form this season. Had a really strong Taif when we were first out in Taif. I think he was still claiming at that point. He then had a bit of a quiet spell in Riyadh, another quiet spell in Taif, but has bounced right back here in Riyadh and looks a real picture of confidence, has been firing in the winners and should have every chance. Plenty of people joining for Oisin Murphy, who has been posting lots on his social media regarding his stint here in Saudi Arabia, which we love to see. He rides Rebellious Stage in the first race, Montasar Billa in the next, Baldi Porto in the next, both of them on turf, Yak Feek in the 7:15 and Motta Sabetta as well in the 8:10. Remember, those are UK times, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, keep an eye out on those ones coming through, including Motta Sabetta, who I'm hugely excited to see back on a race course. Other bit of jockey news as well, you may remember Alberto Sanna. He did a lot of riding for Nicolas Bachelard and those silks, the white and blue silks that were carried to victory in plenty of cup races, including the Kuwait Cup with Scotland Yard. Well, Alberto Sanna, we send our best wishes to him. He's currently in hospital, had a mother and father of a fall in Bahrain, pretty sure it was, and we send our best wishes to him on the channel. He is up and okay, speaking well, but there was a picture on his Instagram story of just him with a neck brace on, so we send our best wishes to him. But focusing on this race right in front of us, I think Rebellious Stage is intriguing. Obviously, Oisin in the saddle with a big plus, justifying the pedigree. I do think they're better on turf than they are dirt, and clearly bought with the intention of being far better than he's shown so far here in Saudi Arabia. I am going to pick number 3, Mal Yan. That is the pick for me. Mark Francis is in the commentary box, and it's over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Callum. Yes, runners are about to start loading them for the opening race of 8 here. Yes, 8 races on this Friday programme. 15 minutes behind time due to the big thunderstorm we had at the top of the show, but pleasing to see that has now passed. I'm in agreement with Callum here. Mal Yan, I think should be too good. Has had a fabulous season. You could say the same for both trainer and owner. I guess the negative would be that Mohammed Al-Daham has jumped on Moswat, who carries the first colours, green cap, yet to load. Malian has gone into stall 8 for Adil Al-Sahani. This is Ryan's Party going into a better stall position. That's number 2. We've got 4 out of line for the opening race here of 8, first of 3 on the grass. 95,000 SAR in the prize fund here, half of that going to the winner. As Moswat goes into 3, betting on Elzam Blue at the top, and the white cap, red jacket, Fahed Al Faridi on William Tell. 10 runners then for the opener here in Riyadh. Stand by for the start. 1,200 metres, 6 furlongs. Gates back, they are off and racing. Rather awkward start for Dr. Zemp, who rather leapt out of the stalls. Elzam Blue is also restrained at the back of the field, but a very alert beginning from William Tell. Stall 1 on the inside, white cap on a red jacket, goes forward. With Moswat between horses, and away to the left is Rebellious Stage with the big white blaze as they encounter the opening turn. Malian is next, racing in company with Ra Ed and Ryan's Party towards the inner. Then came Wakud, who's 2/3 of the way back through the field with Love de Vega. The final 2, Elzam Blue and Dr. Zemp, are well adrift of the other 8 runners as they come down the side. William Tell, Fahed Al Faridi on the inside of Moswat. This is the leading pair. Rebellious Stage, the class act now in the 3 path, is pushed along. Raed now trying to pick up. Malian down the middle of the course has got a bit of work to do. Love de Vega is now starting to close as they tackle the final furlong. It is William Tell, the far side of Rebellious Stage. Love de Vega joining in on the outside, so too Malian. All change up top this side. Love de Vega is going on to score. Love de Vega is the winner. Rebellious Stage in second. Very tight for the minor money. Finishing well was Malian, but far too late. Love de Vega, Adil Al Faridi of the top of the Jockeys Championship gets a crucial winner here in a winning time of 1:11.25, around 12-1 on the international markets. Loves the grass here in Riyadh, does Love de Vega, and has handled the conditions well enough from stall 9 as well. A real pace collapse in the closing stages. Rebellious Stage beaten a length at the wire, but they did go quick on the front end. Love de Vega produced near side of Rebellious Stage, the first 2 home. Third, very tight. Might be William Tell, might be Wakud sticking the neck down at the far side. William Tell has got third ahead of Wakud. Then came Malian and Raed. So Love de Vega has won the opening race of 8 here on the grass. Love de Vega wins by a length, beating Rebellious Stage, who in turn was a further length ahead of William Tell in third, Wakud in fourth. 2, 6, 8 and 4.
So Love de Vega has pounced. It'll be a nice price. We think around 12-1 on the international markets there to beat Rebellious Stage and just deny Ashee Murphy, Adel Al Faridi taking the first prize of the night, and William Tell in that very close photo, as suggested by Mark, has got third. Identical time to Wakud, so there would have been just a tiny margin for the judge to split those two. 2, 6, 8 and 4. The numbers, and Love de Vega, who was behind the favourite Maidan when they met, I think it might have been the VT we showed you at the end of January, has turned that form around, and also Rory has done it from stall number 9.
Yeah, but when we see the replay, you've seen Adele has given this horse a lovely hold-up ride. They've gone very fast in front, and he was in no rush. This horse has won from the front here over course and distance this season.
Yeah.
But Adele knew he couldn't get there at this stage, and rather than trying to rush him up and then have nothing left at the finish, he's just held him up for a late run instead. Horse just won on soft ground in the UK for Mark and Charlie Johnson, but actually his best form was on a very quick turf surface. Multiple winner in the UK, and has adapted really well to racing here. He's not been out of the first 3 on turf since moving to Saudi Arabia. Form figures now on the turf track 2-1, 2-2, 3-1, very consistent.
Yeah, what has he had now? 6 runs, I think, over here, and having been with Charlie Johnston in the UK and bags the second victory, as you say, been so consistent, has loved Vega, and that consistency continues here with this victory at a nice price. Well done to Life is Blessed, who was amongst our members of the viewing team, I'm going to call everybody at home this evening, who put that selection up and getting some high fives from one or two others on the chat. So that's absolutely fantastic to see. Right, Callum, let's go back to you, get a little bit of reaction to this.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We mentioned in the paddock, this one, he's never a paddock eye catcher, Love to Vega, bless him, but he's really consistent, tries his heart out, and he's got an absolute corker of a ride from the Iceman that is Del Alfaredi, waiting patiently in a 1200-metre sprint, takes some cojones, and this is a man who's certainly got some as well. Mohammed Al Habail as well was just gathered up alongside as well, clearly has a connection with the trainer too. But Love to Vega continues his love affair with the turf here at Saudi Arabia, and with a lovely win for the ex-Charlie Johnston trained runner.
So there we are. Smiles for Adel Al-Faradi. Of course, every winner for Adel this week and next week will count massively to enable him to maintain his healthy-looking advantage, Rory, at the top of the championship. And here he is, about to make the move. Those on the Sheen Murphy with Rebellious Stage possibly thought they had it.
I don't think he would have assumed that. He got the better of the battle of the leaders, and the horses kept on stoutly. But you could see that one or two of them were making a move from the back of the field, and Love to Vegas come through strongly. There was never certainly a second when Oisin Murphy thought about dropping his hands on the runner-up. It's a superior, not a superior ride. The way the race panned out, the perfect ride from Adel Al-Faradi. That's not to criticise the rides that Oisin gave his. You set your stall out from the start of the race, and Adele's decision from an early stage was not to try to go forward and try to get the lead. He's let his horse come out of the stalls and go forward initially, but it's clear there's a lot of pace inside him, and you can see almost at this stage that he's thought, right, well, there's no point in me trying to chase these 5 horses wide.
No.
I'll drop in behind. Whereas you do have this war of 3 of them, William Tell, Rebellious Stage and Moswat, go very fast in front, and all 3 of them really determined to get to the front, and it counts against the trio in the end. William Tell holds on for a third. Moswat ended up dropping out of the places in the end, and Rebellious Stage has run very well to keep in there to the end despite racing 3 wide. But you'll see at this stage Adele has dropped back to about 8th place, having broken fairly well on Love to Vega, but he knows what he wants to do coming into the straight. He wants to peel wide and get on what was possibly a faster strip of ground actually in the home straight.
Would that be generally or rain affected?
Well, rain affected definitely. I think there's certainly no disadvantage to come wide of the inside rail here, and of course you know the turn beyond the winning post is banked as well, so there's always room to be had a little bit wide on the track, not necessarily on the outside rail, but just off that inner. And it's also a slightly more natural line for the horses as well to swing wide. So Adele knows the track very well. He knew that would give him a chance, and it's worked out to perfection. It's not like he's a better horse than these. He's been beaten by a couple of these in different races in the past. But in turf races over the 1200 or 1351 metres here, you do need a little bit of luck on your side. You need the race to pan out your way. And Love to Vega, he always gives his running. It's not always good enough to win these races, but it's good enough to see him in the frame. And he's a very, very likeable individual.
I mean, in hindsight, and it is in hindsight, of course, you talked about his consistency in terms of how often, virtually every time he's in the frame, he was probably a little bit of an each-way prospect regardless, wasn't he? I was watching that replay you were describing. I was watching Mal Yan. Of course, he was drawn high as well, drawn in 8. The winner was drawn in 9. And, you know, no excuses. Has come under plenty of pressure there. beaten by a better horse on this occasion, trying to do exactly the same thing as Adele was doing on Love de Vega.
Yeah, it just didn't work out for Malian today, who probably wants to race a little hand here. But they've gone very hard, and that's shaped the race. And you know, when horses are normally able to boss their races, find themselves a little bit on the back foot early on, it's not always easy for them to give their running. As I said, it's great to have a horse like Love de Vega, who doesn't seem to matter how you ride him. He was often a front runner in the UK, and in races where he's got a class edge, he would tend to go to the front, but he can do it both ways, which is a big plus for a horse.
So in terms of what we're taking away from the first race, in terms of how the track's ridden, I mean, certainly, as you say, that we were concerned a little bit about the outside draw. That's definitely not been a case. If anything, it was an edge to be able to ride down the outside, and I guess an advantage. Look, you can get faster on races at any given time, and it may be the jockeys who are on the front end in that race are going to take that away from the next race, and we may get a much more slowly run contest.
We know it's a well-run race, so we're expecting the time to be indicative of what the conditions would be. The race won by Honky Tonk Man, the International Jockeys Challenge here on quick ground for Saudi Cup weekend, was running 1 minute 10.34. That race was 1:11.25, so a little bit slower, but still fast enough for you to think that the ground isn't much slower than Good to Firm, as given by Keith Otterson at the start of the show. Yeah,
despite that rain, if you just joined us, we had, the heavens opened, and for a while we were not concerned that we may not get racing, but wondering how long the delay was. As it turned out, it was 15 minutes. Races will be run at 25-minute intervals all the way through, so the final race local time will be just 10 minutes after midnight. Right, we're going to move on to race 2. This is also a turf race. This is over the 1,200 metres. Now, we're going to see the first of what could be expect to be three odds-on favourites in the international market today in Fuge, who comes here with a far superior rating, Rory, than any of the rivals that take him on. He's on a mark of 83. I've got nothing else here above 72. So
yeah, and he's also progressing all the time as well. He won a maiden 3 starts back. Then he
was good last weekend.
Then he won on dirt, and he was and then switching to turf last week. He showed that this surface comes very much alike to him. He's drawn a stall 9 as well, so not the ideal draw, but he does seem to have a class edge. How does the international market look?
Well, the top end has got Fuge a very solid 8 to 13. I can't see that sort of drifting anytime soon. Suhal, who is Adele's ride, the 4 at 9 to 2. That's number 4 on the card.
Well drawn stall 1, which is
drawn stall 1. Yeah. By the way, Fuge is in 9, but we've seen that's not maybe the worry we had earlier. And 8 to 1 bar those. Give you more prices a bit later on. But Mark Francis is standing by. We can't have him standing by. We need to get to him for the runners and riders in race 2.
Standing by, sitting down. Yes, race 2. 9 runners going to post here once again over 1,200 metres. 3-year-olds only here. And as you correctly pointed out, Daryl, Fuge is drawn in 9, but we've already seen Love de Vega go on to score from that very same gate. Representing Mohammed Al-Daham, Thama Al-Dahani and Sheikh Abdullah Hamoud Al-Malek Al-Sabah, a very, very warm order. 2 is Bracklesham Bay, which is the mount of Tariq Al-Mansour. 3, drawn 3 is Mozart, Khaled Al-Mamoni. 4, Suhail, drawn in 1, Adel Al-Faredi looking for a double. 5 is a late scratch, so no Sahab Al-Mokhtar, no number 5 here, so straight on to 6, which is Sonic Blue, Luis Morales. 7, Al-Monteza Billa, Ashim Murphy, his second ride of the programme so far. Also a maiden are the 8 and 9, Mutahalith is the mount of Farwas Wanas, and 9 is Tawfiq for Azil Al-Sahani. So down to a field of 8 then for race number 2. The runners are in the parade ring. Back to Callum.
Thank you, Mark. Let's have a look at them in the parade ring. Fuge is the top horse here. This is the one clearly on an absolute cracking run of form, and that performance on the turf last time, on turf debut, was very impressive. Showed a wicked turn of foot halfway down the straight and powered away from the rivals. Looks well today, but again, he can never be a paddock pick. He's never really the best looking, but his form figures are very, very strong. Let's go back to the 2, Bracklesham Bay. This is the 2-time winner, who was 3rd on penultimate start and well beaten last time. Another one who's not really doing much for me in the parade ring. Certainly ready to go though, Bracklesham Bay, so always one to keep a close eye on. This son of New Bay is rated 66 and would need to improve a little chunk to have a say in this one. Let's go back to Mozart. Always playing the right music. Mozart is growing in front of our eyes. I remember when we saw this horse right at the start of the season, and we were just a little bit skinny, leggy, and not really doing much, but he looks much, much better now, with a winner a couple of starts ago as well. This will probably be a tougher task, but just like we saw with Love de Vega, certainly a consistent enough type who should be bang up there. Let's drop back to Suhail, who's gorgeous. This is the 4. Lovely looking type Suhail. Ran far better than expected on turf debut last time out when behind Fuge. Had to chase him for a long way and got tired late on. That would be a concern, making a turnaround only 7 days later, but he looked fantastic and certainly cannot be ignored under one-time winner today, Adel Al-Furedi. Next is the 6 here is Sonic Blue coming towards us now. A really well-built individual, nice proportion type, typical sprinting type, very precocious juvenile. For me, not very leggy, but you quite like the way he's put together. Four runs and only the 1 win, but certainly should have more experience and should thrive on the turf here at King Abdulaziz. Shouldn't be ignored here, good-looking individual here. Son of Blue Point as well, whose courses clearly will thrive on a turf surface. Here we come to the one that I love though. This is our Montasar Billa. I have been let down by this horse before, but my goodness, is this son of Justify absolutely gorgeous. On the turf for the first time today should help, but obviously at the end of the day a rating of 48 says everything we really need to know. That 3rd place last time, don't get too excited, it came in a small field contest and wasn't the best of performances, so I wouldn't be getting too excited about him, but my goodness does he not look well in the parade ring, and being by Justify, maybe he'll enjoy this switch to turf. Next one we're going to look at is the sort of time test. This is Mutta Halif. Horse who another one I really like, typical, I love a time test. Senjamez looks in really good shape here. Took a step forward from a pretty low-key debut to run well last time out. That wasn't too long ago. Another one who should relish a debut on turf. And then finally, we're going to have a look at Tower Feek, who I think is definitely underrated here. Really good-looking individual here. This 3-year-old, again, Asil Al-Sahani on board, drawn in 7, looks really, really fit. It's going to be a tough choice here, guys, but I think the pick of the paddock is horse number 9.
Thank you very much, Callum. Yes, and with the absence of number 5, Sahab Al-Mukhtar, we have had a revised market. Of course, it doesn't mean the favourite has shortened up, and those around the favourite have shortened up. 1 to 2 now about the top horse. Suhail at 4s and Al-Montasa Villa at 9s. This is last week. I think this was the 1st or 2nd race last Friday, and Fuge does it nicely.
He does, yeah. He wins this race by 2 3/4 lengths from Selham, and we have Suhail, the horse back in 3rd, who reopposes today. And Suhail probably looks the biggest danger to Fuge, but Fuge won this very nicely. Was going away again at the finish, and you know, there's no reason to think that he's not going to take a step forward again. He is conceding weight to all of his rivals here. But his rating suggests that he's got enough in hand to do so.
Yeah, there's Ashee Murphy, who rides Al-Montasa Billa, number 7, who got some, you know, encouraging words from Callum, albeit mentioning the mark of 48, which puts that horse a long way behind the favourite. However, did run within 3 lengths of a horse rated 60. It was a small field. You may not be able to take that at face value, but perhaps you could elevate the mark slightly. Nevertheless, are we taking the view that single-figure odds are more because of the jockey than anything else?
Well, there is a possibility. I mean, this is bred to be decent. Al-Montasa Billa was sent off a pretty short price favourite for debut in a winners of 1, but was beaten quite a long way in the end, and hasn't done an awful lot. Didn't do an awful lot better on his next 2 starts either. Best run last time. I suppose beaten 5.5 lengths by a 60 rated horse, so you couldn't rate him much higher than 50, even on that. But it's possible that he is simply a turf horse who hasn't an opportunity to show himself, and he'll get the perfect ride from Ocean Murphy. But all told, I would say his price looks very skinny on what he's achieved.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. But we won't be surprised if he runs better than the odds, given that jockey booking. Life is Blessed, of course, had the first winner. Says the one here is a short price vote, can't be backed unless you're playing big money. And he has got the 7 with his first winner, which is Al-Montasa Billa here. There's a bit of conversation going between Life is Blessed and Proxley on the chat. You can follow that as well. Who are they liking? Who are they backing? Who are they fancying this evening? Are you seeing a way past this favourite, or is it just very difficult to take on, Fuge?
No, he is very difficult to take on. There are some interesting horses against them, though, and you got to give them their due and give people the potential positives. for other runners. We see Almonte Cervelo going to post. He certainly looks better than his rating would suggest that he is. Who else should we have a look at? Bracklesham Bay was a dual winner on turf for Jamie Osborne in the UK, but those wins were over 1,600 metres, and he was well beaten on his introduction to Saudi racing on dirt last time, finishing last of 12, beaten 38 lengths. So difficult to fancy him on that, but he'll at least be happier back on turf, and he was suited by sort of good and good to soft ground in the UK.
Okay.
So if the rains got into the ground at all, that will help him. But I think this trip will be too short for him, even if he does come back to his best.
Yeah, Life is Best 6, 7, 9s, playing lots of various combinations. So thank you for your selections there. Feel free to join in if you're watching, of course, on the YouTube English-speaking service. You can easily input your views onto the chat service there, and we'd be very delighted to give you a mention at some stage. So Hal is the solid second favourite, Rory, and obviously bidding to try and give Adele Al Faradi a quick-fire double. How are you rating that horse's claims?
Well, he's got slightly better chances against the favourite than he did last time. There's a marginal turnaround at the weights. He was a winner on dirt on his previous start, beating Blayhan by 3 lengths in a not to 80 handicap. So he's a solid performer. Showed that he handled the turf last time out. Looks second best on the day. Just got run out of second late in the day by a strong finisher down the outside. He should give us running again, but you've got to say, given that he ties in so closely with the favourite, you need Fuge to run below form for Suhail to win, but it would certainly be no surprise to see Suhail finish second or third behind Fuge again.
So the market is right in terms of the order at the top end. You're
Yeah, it looks. I mean, obviously there are a few here who could be surprise packages. Sonic Blue, number 6, is the next one. Callum was saying he's a real sprinting type in the flesh. Now, the interesting thing about him is a winner on debut on turf last season for
That was in the
Tom
UK,
Tascombe in the UK. He didn't really progress as expected after that.
Okay.
And interestingly, I think the excuse for him running disappointing on a second start was that the ground was good to firm, and it was a bit too quick for him. So, with this is quite a well cushioned surface here. It never gets rough. And often when you get good firm ground in the UK at certain tracks, it can be a little bit rough for the horses. But even when the ground is good to firm here, there's a really good cushion underneath, and jockeys say that it rides like a carpet.
I mean, he's rated 72, so in essence, he's the second highest rated horse in the race.
He is, and he's got the potential to progress as a sprinter. He kind of looks like a 5 furlong horse to me in terms of his physique. So the question is how well he will stretch to the 1200 here. Given they showed plenty of speed to win first time out. But I think the key with him, if you're with him, is that he clearly goes well fresh. Showed his best form first time out last season. Yeah. He didn't go completely the wrong way. He wasn't disgraced in a novice on his penultimate start at Redcar, being beaten a length and a quarter that day. So a flat turf track suits him, and he's an interesting recruit here. Obviously, it's not always easy to show your form first time out, but given he's got a history of going well, I say history of going well fresh.
It's once, but
on his racecourse debut,
you've got to start somewhere. Yeah,
you've got to look at the positives and take those where you can.
Well, I'll give you another positive. He's in stall number 8, which we saw was not a bad place to be. Of course, the favourite is in 9, so yeah, there could be worse exactas than putting the 1 on top of the 6. I guess if you're looking for something slightly away from the obvious.
And again, we saw in the first race that the draw is not absolutely essential. In a moderately run race on quick ground here, if you're able to control it from the front and get to the inside rail, that can be a benefit. In a strongly run race, you can win from anywhere.
Okay, right. We need to lock in some selections as everyone is at home. So who are you with?
Yeah,
Rory?
I've got to go with Fuge here, number 1.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's very boring, but it seems the right way to play. So all over the 1, and I wonder if we're going to hear 1-1-1, Callum?
You're not going to hear 1-1-1, you're going to hear 1-1-9. Towerfeek was the pick of the paddock for me. Not disgraced last time when finishing third, just a couple of lengths off the winner. Was behind Suhail on penultimate start in a handicap. That wasn't an easy task. I think this is a horse that just looks really well, and I hope that he can run above himself and maybe run into a place here. Phil Al-Sahani on board, he'll be hoping for a little bit of a better trip round than he had last time. But again, drawn in 7 won't help. Well, it won't be drawn in 7 technically now, because we've got a non-runner, so we'll find out. Still drawn out wide, no doubt. Quick shout out for Sonic Blue. I remember him winning on debut in the UK. I remember him next time out at Ripon. Those of you who are maybe watching from all over the world here on the Saudi English-speaking channel wouldn't know Ripon, but that racecourse is undulating, and he never saw any of the dips and hated it. I think he's better than that, and although he's coming here with a 6 months absence, he looked very fit in the parade ring, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him run a big race on Saudi debut. But the pick for me is the 9. They're loading up. Mark Francis, it's all yours.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you, team. Fuge is the right favourite here, and if repeating what he has shown in his last 3 runs, then surely nothing can get to the top runner here. Rated 83 is well clear on ratings, as the team have highlighted. Stall 9 for the market leader. Second race, 1200 metres. Ready. Lengthy hold. Flag is now up and away and racing. 2 white stable runners just bashed into each other on stall's exit. That is Al Monteza Billa with the green cap, and also the red cap of Muta Halif, who is now pushing forward with Fuge, the market leader. Green sleeves with a white cap. Closest to us is Sahel. This is the leading trio. Between those is Tawafik, and then races on the inside Bracklesham Bay, who is a further length and a half behind the leading quartet. Mozart is in mid-division with Al Monteza Billa, and the back marker not in shot at the moment is Sonic Blue. Completing the first 400 metres and now turning left-handed down the side of the course. Suhail from stall 1 has bagged the lead, with Tawafik now moving between runners, and Fuge is now being driven in the 3 path. But they have moved clear of Al Monteza Billa in 4th, Bracklesham Bay with no answers in 5th place, as they work their way inside the final furlong. Now Tawafik has got a healthy cushion here on Sahel, who is running on again in 2nd. Fuge at the minute has still got 4 or 5 lengths to find and will not be winning today. Tawafik, though, is clearing away and will win in some style. Number 9, Tawafik, is the winner. So in 2nd place, Suhail, then came Al Monteza Billa, and Fuge, very disappointing indeed. Callum Helliwell knew the answers. Tawafik, right down the bottom, has won at a winning time of 1:11.66, 25 to 1. Have some of that. Tawafik, Azil Al-Sahani. Fair play to Callum, gave a good mention to the pilot before the first race. Tawafik wins well, 3.5 lengths between himself and Sahel, who has taken the silver medal. Far side Al Monteza Billa with some late work to take the bronze. Bracklesham Bay has edged out Fuge for 4th place money. Numbers 9, 4, 7 and 2. Callum Helliwell can go join Tawafik in the winner's enclosure.
Well, how about that? Well done to Callum. That's an amazing selection at 25 to 1 on turf debut as well. And number 9, Tawafik. Those of us who are thinking, it's not going to win. Well, proved to be wrong. Tawafik wins. Number 9 beat number 4, Sahel, who did get 2nd. 7, Al Monteza Billa was in 3rd. And Bracklesham Bay ahead of Fuji was bitterly disappointing. Rory back in 5th place. So Callum moves up to 4. The rest of us stay where we are on a rather solitary. I feel quite embarrassed to have a solitary winner.
I'm looking. He told us this was underrated, but I couldn't see it myself. He was a maiden coming into this. He's not bred for the turf, so it wasn't like he was. This will improve for switching to turf. A 3rd behind Hora Al Mohammadiyah last time out is only ordinary form. A mark of 63 is fair on the balance of form, but he seemed exposed as well. He's been there or thereabouts a few times in handicaps and in sort of minor races, but he didn't look like a winner waiting to happen to me. But he's absolutely bolted up. So Callum saw something there. He looked well in his skin, and Callum's up and close and personal with these.
But this is the great thing, Rory, when you have Callum in the parade ring, because with all due respect to other paddock analysts, often in the back of your mind, you're conscious of the price of a horse when you're talking about how it looks, and really what you need to do is what Callum does, and you're almost oblivious to the. I mean, look, he knew Food was favourite, we all did, obviously, but be oblivious to the price of the horse and just base your thoughts on the looks, and that's why you get 25-1 winners.
Indeed. And again, you know, Callum he's been in that parade ring for the vast majority of the meetings here this season. He's seeing the same horses over and over again, and when a horse you've seen looking, you know, unimpressive starts to blossom in front of your eyes, you're in a good position to take advantage there. You also mentioned that Mozart is a horse who, you know, looked pretty scrawny and very ordinary early in the season, and he had a rating in the low 50s initially, Mozart, but he's gone on to win 2 races since. Didn't fire here on his turf debut, but you can't knock what Callum's done this weekend. Was 16-1 winner yesterday. It's not like he's getting more winners than us and picking all the odds-on favourites. We're picking the odds-on favourites.
Getting less winners.
25-1 winners.
Yeah, we are just here, of course, to make you look good. Not that we need to make you look good. You're just good without needing to look that way. I think that's what I'm saying.
Oh dear. Hopefully I'll get it out a little bit better than you there, Darryl. But no, you're not making me look good at all. I always start fast and fall apart, so let's not get too excited yet. But I did think Taoufiq looked the best of these in the parade ring. Obviously, aside from our Montasar Billa, who's gorgeous, but we kind of know where we stand with that horse, don't we? Just a disappointing purchase all the way around. Taoufiq is a really good looker and has also been in not bad form either. I mean, was close third last time out, the time before that in handicap company. Hadn't managed to get the head in front at all, but the return to the debut on turf has suited, and this horse has really enjoyed it. And check out Asil Al-Zahani, gave him a good mention earlier on, and he's got the winner here. Didn't quite get the luck of the draw really upon Malian, but he got a lovely posse all the way around here between the 2 horses, and he's got the win here. And I do think he's a jockey you have to follow. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when he goes to Taif over the summer, but hopefully he can continue this form, because he has been a little bit in and out, but when he's hot, he really is hot, and he's given this a lovely ride all the way around, and in the end he's done it quite easily. Taoufiq, the pick of the paddock, and sometimes handsome is as handsome does.
Well, he may have a second winner, who knows, because he's going to ride Monsieur Jumbo, who's the second favourite in the next race. So certainly Asil Al-Shahani will go to that contest with confidence sky high after this big price. I mean, some would say it's a surprising result. Many would say it's a surprising result, but of course not our paddock expert. And in hindsight, if I let you have 7 picks,
well,
maybe.
I'd have probably picked him before Al Montasar Billa, but that horse has also run well to finish third. He would have been. I mean, I'll tell you what I wrote about it. I'm not.
Let's.
8 race maiden, ran one of his better races, went third to Hor Al Mohammedia last time out. Tries this surface for the first time, but now there's more appealing. You know,
Wow.
if you look at a race like this where you've got a horse who's thriving, winning his last 3 off a mark of 83, and a horse who's never won a race rated 63, and there's only a few pounds between them, you're struggling to make a case for the 63 rated horse, but he bounced out in front of Fuge, who was just a little bit awkward out of the stalls, but quickly found his stride. But I don't think he ever relaxed. I think Fuge always looked like he was.
You were
working
worried about the
to be on
quick
front.
reappearance after last week's win. Do you think that's what's told him?
No, I don't. I think for a horse running over this sort of trip, they should be able to back up fairly quickly. But just any horse who gets involved in a pace war is automatically going to be a little bit vulnerable. Well, in the I say that, but the first and second have been on the pace as well.
Yeah.
But he's just, he was able to dominate last time and always looked happy. And for me, he never looked happy from the moment Mohammed Al-Dahan brought him forward. So maybe he's bounced a little bit from that run last week and took more out of himself than looked to be the case. And you do have this situation at the end of the season. If a trainer thinks, oh, the horse needs a fortnight to get over that race, well, there isn't a fortnight, is there? You've got no more races until Taif, and there's no turf racing in Taif either. So.
Yeah, this is the conversation we had yesterday, of course. You know, you're going to see horses running in races that you're thinking, well, why is that horse in that race? It's because options are limited, of course. But listen, a great result for Asil, and of course a great result for anybody who was lucky enough to back it. I know Life is Blessed managed to get a little sneaky each way on the winner as well. And in fairness, Proxy was on the 7, I think, who finished
right, yeah.
second, of course. So
Third in the end. I'm Montasar Billa.
yes, yeah. Right, we're going to move on to race number 3. Of course, wonder if Asil can get a second winner. He is on, as I say, Monsieur Jumbo in what is our third and final race on the grass coming up. This race is due off now, revised times, 10:05 local time, about 15 minutes away. Nothing from Machine so far. He's on the odds-on favourite, though, Bolide Porto, who was a winner, of course, last time. Gets the marker 104, top of the pile, Rory. So, look, we've had a 12 to 1, a 25 to 1 winner.
Well, someone was writing in about horse patterns, a horse that had finished first unplaced, and then looking for to win again tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Bolide Porto's form figures have been 9th, first, 8th, first, 9th. So he's
so
you can
there's
argue
a
he's
bit of a negative
due to
pattern
bounce.
there.
Well, no,
Okay.
well, possibly a positive pattern if he's so his most recent run he finished 9th, so he's due to win again.
Yeah.
I don't really buy into that. Essentially, he was in a much tougher race last time out. He was outclassed in international group company last time out. This is more like it, but again, I don't think it's not simply as easy as looking at the ratings for these horses at this stage of the season. Particularly with the rain's going to have some sort of effect on the ground. I don't think it's not turned it soft, but some horses will still like it a little bit more with whatever small ease there is underfoot. And Bolide Porto, he's got a good drawn stall 3. The stalls aren't so important over 2,100 metres here, but he has been a little bit in and out. He certainly is better suited by turf than dirt, this horse. And with a rating of 104, he is the one to beat. Again, worth bearing in mind, he's carrying 62 kilos, and some of those beneath him are receiving weight.
Yeah, the 9 was interesting on that score, wasn't it? The Pretty Flag horse who's rated 93, but gets
a young
some
filly who's getting
weight.
plenty of weight. Yeah. So.
Well, we continue that discussion here while you get the runners and riders with Mark Francis.
Indeed. Carry on your conversation, chaps. We'll run through the numbers and names here for race number 3. Once again on the grass, 2,100 metres for 4-year-olds and upwards. So that's a mile, 2.5 furlongs. Bolide Porto then for the White Stable, Sheen Murphy. No luck so far. A 2nd and a 3rd on this programme this evening. Has a very decent opportunity here. Odds-on shot here. Bolide Porto looking for victory number 6. Monsieur Jumbo, the grey, double-seeking Azil Al-Sahani, drawn in 9 for the Al-Dahani stable, of course trained by Tharma. That is the 2. 3 is Al-Faka, Farwas Wanas, 4 wins from 18. 4 is Walter Hartright for the red stable, Abdullah Al-Farouz. 5 is a mare, 7-year-old Israj, Abdullah Al-Lorfi, and Aguiletto, also for the red stable, Prince Faisal bin Khalid, and double-seeking Adel Al-Faredi. Over the page to find the other grey, that's Call Legend, the 7 for Luis Morales. 8 is Gesture for Abdullah Al-Saidi. Pretty Flag is having a magnificent 2025 to date, Mohammed Al-Daham. And 10 is Tell Me All. Now, what can Callum Helliwell tell us? He is in the parade ring.
I can tell you that number 1, the rain has started. Number 2, the lightning's kicking off. And number 3, I'm getting more and more scared by the minute. But let's focus on the horses that are in the parade ring at the moment. And that is Bolide Porto. Won the trial for the Neom Turf Cup on penultimate start in a very, very good performance, and wasn't disgraced in an absolute corker of a Group 2 on Saudi Cup weekend last time out. A repeat of that form will make him surely almost impossible to beat here, and he looks the part as well. Really good looking individual and certainly worthy of being your favourite. In behind of the horse I love though, this is Monsieur Jumbo. A good winner on penultimate start when making turf debut, and not disgraced when 2nd in the Jcsa on the Friday of Saudi Cup weekend. Always looks really well in the parade ring. Don't be concerned by the fact he's carrying a bit of condition. He's very much like Charin, a grey that's got a bit of a tummy. Lovely dappling all over, a good walker, and has thrived since turning to the turf here for Mohammed Al-Daham. Azil Al-Sahani on board. He'll be looking for a double. Let's go back to the 3. This is Al-Faka. Coming towards me now, really imposing individual Al-Faka, the son of Tajaweed. He's a 5-year-old entire now, big bull of a thing, ridden by Fawaz Wanas. Was putting together a decent run of form and found himself in tougher contests since then, but certainly should not be ignored here. As you can see, looks really, really well within himself. Let's drop right the way back to the next one is the 7. Cool Legend is the next one we're going to see. Ex-William Haggas, I'm pretty sure, Cool Legend, who absolutely dotted up over a longer trip last time out, wasn't disgraced. On penultimate start, wasn't disgraced last time out, and clearly the horse, it's just they're beginning to work out what to do with him. We've mentioned the Al Garabin team already is really finding their feet at the end of this season and certainly cannot be ignored. He's just looked at me now and given me a smile, so that suggests they'll be confident with this one too. I'm really looking forward to seeing Cool Legend, a horse who I think has plenty more to come on the turf. And then finally, we'll just look at the last 2 coming towards us. The first one is Pretty Flag. That lightning is getting closer and closer by the minute. Pretty Flag hit gorgeous. Look at Pretty Flag, isn't she? Really, really nice type. She's a 5-year-old now, but she looked fantastic. Really, really well turned out. She ran well in the IJC race last time out too. Cannot be ignored. And finally, we'll go to the 10. Tell Me All. This will be the pace angle. Is this trip a bit too short though? They'll be going quick, and Tell Me All will be bang up there with them. Well turned out and well clipped, but certainly I think they might be going a bit too quick. For me, the Paddock pick has to be your favourite. It's quite boring, but Boldy Porto looks an absolute star in the paddock and certainly is worthy of the position at the top of the market.
Yeah, Boldy Porto was a good winner. Of course, we'll show you that shortly at the back end of January. In fact, let's make shortly now. Here is that effort. This, of course, was prior to running in the Grade 2 subsequently.
Yes, obviously he was a bit outclassed last time out, but this was the Prince Khalid Abdullah Cup, which was also a trial for the big Group 2 race. He's come through from a difficult position to storm to the front inside the final furlong and go clear. Really likable performance. Really points his toe as well, which is nice to see. Suited by a quick surface, and the question is whether the rain has. I don't think the rain's made enough of a difference. So the times of the first 2 races suggest it hasn't.
Mr. Jumbo, we're looking at
Mr.
now,
Jumbo
yeah.
in front as he frequently is in Thamar Al Dahani's own colours, the big grey. He's been an absolute superstar since we've been here. We thought he'd lost his way earlier this season, but he's come back better than ever in his last few starts. He was diagnosed with a back problem. Thamar told us, and when he got that sorted out, he suddenly went from looking like an arthritic old horse into a very good horse again. That was a good race that he was second in last time out. 2 or 3 of those who reopposed tonight were just behind him that day, but I think he was better than the bare result and should confirm for him.
Yeah, that was the Jockey's Challenge, wasn't it? As you say, a couple in behind. Aguiletto, the 6, I think, was 4th, and the 9, actually. It intrigues me a little bit, Pretty Flag, as I was saying earlier, because of the weight being received, split the pair on that occasion. Of course, Camillo Ospina not riding tonight, suspended this week, which is why Sheen is here. Camillo was on board that the favourite. We showed that piece of form from the 24th of January, subsequently beaten in the Grade 2. The favourite is 4 to 5, so you're not going to get rich backing Boldy Porto, but it seems
Especially if he loses.
Well, and
as you could have said with the first 2 favourites, they were both pretty
we've
short.
We've had 2 disappointing favourites, haven't we, who finished sort of out of the money. But the White Stable, courtesy of Sheen yesterday, have drawn level with their big rivals, and victory here could
was 142 points each, I think.
Yeah,
don't quote me on that. But obviously, Boldy Porto, if he wins here, that will send the White Stable into the lead for the first time since very early in the season.
So how important is that? I'm thinking of, like, this is almost like a football championship when one team has been in front for a long time and all of a sudden your big rivals get to you and maybe forge on. Not sure it quite works that way in horse racing ownership.
Kevin Keegan, Sir Alex Ferguson type scenario here. I'd love it if we went up against Boldy Porto and got 3 points. Well, sadly, there's only 1 point on offer here, but obviously you've got 2 Red Stable runners here in Aguiletto, who we saw in our last piece of footage, and a very interesting newcomer, Walter Hartright, who's a horse I liked a lot in the UK last year. He was a progressive middle distance handicapper for Ed Dunlop. Winning at sort of a mile and a half around that distance 4 times, stayed 1 mile and 6. I thought he was a really tough competitor. Not easy for him to settle into his new environment straight away.
But they've left the mark alone. He's on the mark where you ran last time in the UK.
Exactly, it's a decent mark. I mean, that tends to be the way here. There doesn't have any adjustment of marks from the UK. They should be directly transferable. 2100 metres would be too short for him based on his UK form. Yeah. But if they go very hard here, that will bring his stamina into play. And I do think there's more to come from Walter Hartwright. I thought he was a really bonny horse last year, racing the same colours as Ed Dunlop's Ascot Gold Cup winner, who's Trip to Paris, was it?
Oh yes, Trip to Paris, yeah.
So obviously they've sold him for good money here, and I hope he does well here. There are occasional 3,000-metre races here, but there's really only 3 or 4 a season. And he's going to be running at 2,100 metres if he's kept to the turf. But he's got the option of switching to the dirt here as well for plenty of 2,400-metre races. And we've seen turf horses adapt pretty well. So I'd love to see Walter Hartwright do well. As I said, he was a horse that I was sweet on last season.
Okay, yeah, cool. Legend won one of those 3,000-metre races not so long ago. Believe Porto goes 8-11. Harden's in the market, 5-2. Monsieur Jumbo. The 13-2, bit of money for Aguiletto from 7-1. Pretty Flag is steady, and then, well, you can have 20s bar those, but I'm guessing, given the first 2 results, maybe we shouldn't just immediately put a line through those.
No, absolutely not. It's not been easy. It's interesting they sent the runners to post straight away here. We had a bit of lightning, and I thought we might delay this as well, but I think if we end up delaying any more races, then we're going to lose a bit of racing. The rain's coming down again, so it'll be interesting if obviously, as I said, the runners are sent to post for this. They could end up bringing them back, but at the moment it's just about okay. But it's got a bit dodgy again. We thought we'd seen the worst of the rain.
You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? In that position, you know what do? You keep the horses waiting in the rain, and it gets worse. So I think they've made the right call. Try and carry on, and hopefully get this race run before any more problems. Right, who wins, Rory?
I'm going to go for my old friend Monsieur Jumbo. I think Bolide Porter is going to be hard enough to beat, but with the rain coming down, it won't bother Monsieur Jumbo, who's got form with digging the ground back in the UK.
Okay, 2 for Rory. I am totally unoriginal with Bolide Porto, the 1, and I think our championship leader is on the top as well.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, just seeking a little bit of shade, a little bit of cover in the weighing room at the moment. So we're just seeing the horses circle down at the start. The pick for me will be Bolide Porto. Really looking forward to seeing this. Sorry, I should get that correct. Bolide Porto is the name of the horse. So that's going to be the pick for me in this contest. I do think Monsieur Jumbo is the danger. I think Alfaka probably might just find this a bit too tough. Cool Legend is a fascinating runner, that grey. I know Rory Delaghe is a big fan of Cool Legend. I remember we were together, I almost think we were together when that horse won a couple of starts ago. And then as well towards the back end of the group of them, you've got the likes of Pretty Flag, who looks really well in the prelims, and Tell Me All, who we know will be a pace angle. There certainly is the second band of rain coming through, and the lightning is doing its thing as well. So we might be facing another bit of a delay after this one. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know as soon as I know, because we've been on top of things so far, but the rain is hammering down. It just comes in waves here, and when it does rain, it really does rain. It's good stuff. And hopefully all the jockeys will make their way round safely. This looks like an ideal opportunity for Oisin. Your only concern is, just like we saw with Fuge, is this going to be one run too many? We've seen a few horses who ran at Saudi Cup weekend and then turned out the next week after and ran very well. So it didn't seem to stop them, but that would be your only concern. As you can see, the rain absolutely hammering down here at King Abdulaziz Racecourse. They're down at the start now, so I imagine they'll give this race a go, but of course safety is the priority, so we will find out more as more and more people make their way into the weighing room thinking, hang on a minute, it's not that dry out there. Boys, in the studio, it's back to you. You're very dry. I am also very dry.
Yes, we're taking back for a moment here. I mean, the clock is still, what, 2.5 minutes shy of race time, so in theory they could run it now, but I think once you've given a revised off time,
yeah, they're going to stick to it. That's the thing about if you give official off times to races, you can't start messing. If you said we're going to try to catch up time, they'll be sending them in as quickly as possible. But with an official off time of what, 10:05.
Yes.
For this race.
Yeah.
The reason they're not loading up at the moment is because they'll be starting early if they do that.
So with the rain, I mean, obviously there are people who come to Riyadh and think it never rains, but you wouldn't see rain that often here, would you? And therefore these horses wouldn't have, you know, that much experience under these kind of conditions.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we saw when we were in Taif, we saw rain on a not a regular basis,
but more often.
Yeah, you do get the occasional heavy downpour.
Okay.
You don't get rain like we do back in lovely old England. but you do get the occasional storm, and it tends to be pretty heavy. It doesn't often last particularly long, but as I said, we did have heavy rain and typh earlier this season, and we lost, I think, a day and a half of racing, which then got sort of rescheduled. We're getting towards the end of the season here. It's not particularly easy to add races to the card. It's impossible to add races to the card tomorrow because we've got the restrictions of Ramadan as well. So obviously we'll be hoping that everything can go to plan, but as Callum says, safety is paramount. And if we get any more lightning, then that becomes an issue.
Right, Hal is coming down now. We're just seeing all the sort of assistants, if you like, rushing back to try and get dry because you just need to find shelter, don't you, in these situations. The jockeys, of course, are having to grin and bear it, and the horses and the handlers and everybody else down there at the start. Life is blessed. Give him another mention because I'm saying I'm very presumptuous there, but 7, 9 and 10 going to play the numbers game here, but as yielding some good results with those, and we'd love to hear from you wherever you're watching tonight. Maybe you're enjoying better weather than we are, Riyadh, from wherever you're viewing this evening or this morning. I've already heard from one of our viewers in Australia. Mark Francis, though, is hopefully dry in that commentary box and trying to keep away from the worst of the elements, Mark.
Oh, it's oh so dry up here, Daryl. Best view of all, the commentary box. But the rain really is coming down hard. And hopefully we can get through the rest of the programme. Runners going forward. 8 to 11 Belid Porto. Sheen Murphy Whitecap. And they're just about set. Ready then for race 3. The driving rain. They're off. 2100 metres then, just over a lap of the track here. Al Fakir is pushed along to take a prominent position. Far side, Walter Hartright got away well. This side, Nose Bandit, Tell Me All, make up the leading trio. Far side, Whitecap, then a Pretty Flag is also not too far away as this leader really is injecting some serious pace into this contest. Opening left-handed turn, and it is Walter Hartright, Abdullah Al Farouz, who has gone clear. Al Fakir second, Pretty Flag third, Tell Me All in fourth position. Messier Jumbo just covered up from this shot at the moment. The grey yellow jacket for Azir Al Sahani away to the left is now also moving through the gears in advance of Cool Legend, the other grey. Working their way back to Agualetto, who's racing towards the inside of Jcsa. Israj is second last, green jacket, who is just about in shot, and Belid Porto is the back marker under Sheen Murphy. Midway down the back they go. Still, Walter Hartright, loving life at the moment, is clear by 6.5. Monsieur Jumbo is leading the chase with Al Fakir second and third. Pretty Flag, no alarms at the moment for Mohamed Aldahan, racing in between Agualetto, the rail, and Jcsa further out. Israj has passed a couple, including Belid Porto, and now the back marker Tell Me All looks to be eased at the back of the field. So 9 seemingly in with a chance as they work their way inside the final 3 furlongs, and Walter Hartright seemingly his race has been run because Monsieur Jumbo has now taken it up. Cool Legend second, so Grey's 1 and 2. Here on the outside is Pretty Flag, then races Agualetto. Belid Porto is now also passing rivals, now taking a share of second as they come inside the final furlong and a half. Monsieur Jumbo, Belid Porto though is taking off on the outside, and here he goes. Belid Porto now extending the advantage, a length, 2, 3, 4 lengths clear. Belid Porto, a big race winner here for the White Stable, as Sheen Murphy, off the mark on this Friday programme, has absolutely destroyed them. Look at that one go. Belid Porto hacks up at the end to Monsieur Jumbo, no answers in second. Pretty Flag and Agualetto. Belid Porto is a winner for Callum Helliwell and Daryl Williams, and what a big winner this is in the Owners' Championship. The White Stable takes the lead, and in sensational style, 143 points. They lead the Red Stable by a point, 142. Not much to separate. Sheen Murphy, after his double yesterday, is on the score sheet once again, filling in for Camilo Ospina, who is not here this weekend, has blown them away by 8.5. Monsieur Jumbo in second, Pretty Flag in third, Agualetto in fourth. The numbers 1, 2, 9 and 6 as the White Stable representatives watch on. An emphatic winner. Belid Porto in the rain has absolutely hacked up. Go and collect.
Well, you wonder, of course, how significant that winner might be, as Mark says, will take the White Stable, for the moment anyway, to the top of the Owners' Championship. And from the back, Believe Porter giving an inspired ride by Oisin Murphy. This is what he's here for, Rory, of course, to get those winners. And he's beaten Monsieur Jumbo and Pretty Flag back in third place. And but went off odds on. I wonder whether there were those who were worried at one stage where he was anchored out the back.
Yeah, well, he was dropped back immediately into last place by Oisin. We saw that he's well suited by a waiting ride. His two impressive wins here on the turf have come with him storming through late to win, and he had the class to do that. So rather than take chances getting embroiled in any kind of pace war, Oisin just sat off them, picked them off one by one, and then loomed up in the straight. When Monsieur Jumbo briefly looked like he'd got most of them in trouble, kicking for home early in the straight, but Believe Porter was travelling tremendously strongly, and got alongside Monsieur Jumbo, and then just cleared away. Good run from the second, as usual, and Pretty Flag in third.
Yeah, Believe Porto then off a marker 104, top rated. Mohammed made a very valid point. Good to hear from you on the chat room, saying UK horses have got an edge. Of course, no better place than England to get used to rain. Hey, we kind of know that for sure. Let's get some reaction though as we head back to Callum.
Thank you very much. Team Talal bin Sharaim joins me now. You brought Oisin Murphy in to cover for Kamir Waspina.
Yes.
He's given you 3 winners, and now you lead in the Owners' Championship.
Thanks God. First of all, congrats to Prince Meteor, all the White Stable team. Oisin Murphy, you know, he's one of the top jockey in the world. Today we were afraid about that, you know, raining the track. Maybe it will be heavy, but alhamdulillah, what it's worth to. He ran very well today, and I hope inshallah he'll continue in the same level, inshallah.
He's just loving coming back to the turf, isn't he? That win in the trial was good. I don't think he ran a bad race in the Neon Turf Cup, and this is a big victory for him today.
I agree with you, and all his winning in the grass. He's good horse in the grass track.
Well, hopefully he can show you some more next season. Go and welcome him in.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
As we see Oisin Murphy making his way into the winners' enclosure here. He had to battle through the rain, but no doubt it would have stopped him at all. It felt like riding at Wolverhampton on a Thursday evening rather than coming to King Abdulaziz Racecourse. But he's guided his horse to victory with ultimate confidence as well. He was just so calm in the saddle and gave it a lovely patient waiting ride, and this horse Believe Porto, I should say, has got victory here and given the White Stable the lead in the Owners' Championship. And remember, there are still major points available for the award races, and I'm pretty sure we've got a Group 1 in the final week, a local Group 1, which certainly will take plenty of winning, and it will still be all up for grabs in a thrilling Owners' Championship between the Red and the White Stable. I can't wait to hear about Oisin on this one, because this will be a really interesting discussion, because you talk about confidence there. He exuded confidence aboard that, and I think that can only be found from riding here over the past few weeks. But we'll grab a word with him, make sure he weighs in correctly to start, and then once he weighs in, we'll be very happy. He's coming in at 62, which is fine. Oisin Murphy coming to join us now. You gave that horse a very, very confident ride.
Hi, you're kind. The speed was honest, and he put himself back, and they slowed down from the turn, and it was just about navigating a passage. He leaned a little bit in the straight, but yeah, he was a class above, so good to get on the score sheet.
The heavens had opened before the race. Did that give you any indication just of change of riding style, maybe just take your time a little bit, or were you always confident?
I just felt because he's by Le Havre, maybe the rain might have helped the track, but to be honest, I've never seen a track take the rain like this. Apparently they had 10 mils before the first race, and it's still good to firm ground, so credit to everyone organising the racing here.
Yeah, credit to you coming over here for these rides, and you've now put the White Stable in front in the Owners' Championship. That must be exactly what you're here to do.
Yeah, but it should have been done earlier. In the first race, the Justify Colt was just a little bit keen, and I should have either took back or made the running, but we'll keep trying. 3 shots left.
3 shots left, and I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thanks, but please go.
Well done.
Well, we're going to see him again very shortly, because he's on Yakfek and the local bred handicap coming up shortly. A very different kind of requirement to what we've just seen here. But you know, bringing this horse through, Rory, from the back of the field. I mean, look, Oisin is a master of his trade, and I'm guessing he was never concerned as to where he was.
No, and this horse does have a very sharp turn of foot, and A fairly unusual thing to see here, again, because most of our racing is on the turf. Most of the horses who race on the turf here are switching between the two, and so it tends to be about maintaining speed, whereas this horse is able to genuinely quicken, as we saw in the straight there. He didn't keep very straight when he did. He did hang to his left as he came through, but he was going twice as fast as Mr. Jumbo at the time.
He wants, as you say, to hold him up. He's in gate 3. He's literally relegated him to the back of the field early doors.
Yeah, and all he wants to do at this stage is just cut the corners, look for for those horses who begin to fall back through the field to avoid them, and then launch a challenge of the
one of
home
those
turn.
One of those jumping through the field eventually was Water Heartright, who's gone off a shade too quickly.
Yeah, he's raced too freely. We said that he stays very well. He stays a mile and a half, mile and 6 actually. He wore blinkers in the UK as well, so it's not the headgear that's done it, but he's raced very freely here. You often hear about talking about if you've got a stayer running over shorter, make the running with him to make use of the stamina. But if you're going too fast, it doesn't matter what theoretical stamina you have. If you're going too fast for the trip, you're not going to last home. And Walter Heartright was just racing on adrenaline, really, on his nerves at this stage.
I mean, nobody's even tried to go with him at all, have they? They've let him get on with things.
It's clear that he's going faster than ideal in conditions. You do see that Mr. Jumbo is keen to at least cover that move at this stage, and he's the first one to make a move for home. But you can see Oisin on the far right here, still last of the main group. One or two of them begin to feel the pinch and drop out at this stage, but Oisin still not needing to ask for an effort, knowing that this horse can make up 4 or 5 lengths in half a furlong very easily.
Those who've backed him are now beginning to think, well, he's latching onto the pack, and you start to see him go past 1 or 2, and now you think you're in business if you're on the favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. The field now concertinaing. 2 of them have dropped out, and Oisin, it's just a case of finding a clear path at this stage. And as we said, swinging wide of this bend makes a lot of sense. You don't lose ground by doing so, and of course it's a more natural turn for the horses if you come a little bit wide there. What you don't want to do is run into traffic, but he quickens up smartly here. Mr. Jumbo's made his bid for home. He's run as usual brave race, but he's nowhere near as fast as Bolide Porto, and this is a solid piece of form. Pretty flag you see there in the Al Sabah colours, running on for 3rd, and all the right horses have filled the right positions in this race, unlike our first two races on turf, which were head scratching to varying degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first 2 races, 2 big price winners. This has got more to plan, of course. Camera focusing on Monsieur Jumbo, but of course we're about to see Bolide Porto overhaul the second choice and go storming away. And pertinent words as well from Oisin to Callum there as to this track and how it dries. I think he's along the lines of, I've never seen a track dry as quickly. And he's been everywhere, Rashid. He's been worldwide, so that's a big statement to make.
It's a man-made sand-based track. So, and we'll see that we have sand-based tracks in the UK, and Musselburgh being a great example of a track that never gets particularly wet, but it's still a natural surface where this has been built on a solid foundation. With the sand base and then the turf on top of that, so the water just essentially runs off, doesn't it? Runs through.
It does.
Like a beach, as Keith told us earlier on.
Now, some big news coming through. Excuse me while we get up to speed with that news. And this has just come through. Due to wet weather on course, the track team have elected to seal the dirt surface, which will in turn result in further delays. We will get updated schedule times shortly. So the dirt surface being sealed, we often see that, of course, here and in the States as well. It is going to result in a delay. So basically what they're doing is trying to squeeze the water out, so to try and squeeze the water away from the track, and then hopefully that will get the worst of it away. And I mean, if it keeps raining, obviously it's going to come back.
Yeah, and again, you're looking to create a surface where any further rain will run off rather than soak in as well.
Yes,
I guess.
Yeah.
Hence the use of the term.
But that takes a little bit of time, of course. So that's going to impact on.
And obviously, we'd like to talk to the track staff about this, but they're all too busy actually attending the track to give us an interview, which makes perfect sense.
I'm sure at some stage.
I mean, Keith will be doing that. Keith might be able to give us half an idea if we get a chance. But obviously, he's also trying to organise what we're doing in terms of delay and getting everything running to time. So no one here has got any spare time to discuss what's going on, and that's perfectly natural.
They're certainly not going to come in here with us, Rory, and sit down for 10 minutes. That is totally understandable. So yes, a further delay to racing. So what we were looking at, 10:30, the scheduled time for the next race. That is obviously going to be a little bit further down the road than that. Roberto says quite simply, a sheen easy, and it was, wasn't it, for those who got involved in the favourite. So with a time delay, it's a perfect time for you to get involved wherever you're watching this programme from. Worldwide, we know we had viewers in Australia tonight, I think viewers in Japan yesterday, in the States already this evening, in the UK. Where are you watching tonight? Surprise us, viewers in India last night as well. Let us know exactly where you are. Well, we don't need the full address, just give us an idea of your city and your country, and we want to give you a mention because we want to sort of put those little dots on the worldwide map as to the viewing interest in this programme. Right, let's go to Mark for the runners and riders. Not sure how long we're going to have to wait for the race, but we can get up to speed, can't we, Mark, with the list of runners for the fourth race.
Indeed we can, Darryl. And there are on dirt this evening. We will hopefully get the race back on time shortly. So number 1 is Mayhamar. Farwas Wanas rides the 1 here for the white stable. Jcsa is the 2. Farhed Al Faredi, 2 wins from 20. 3 is Saif Al Hijaz for Abdullah Al Kredis. 4 is Yakbek, double seeking Sheen Murphy, 2 wins from 6 so far at this 5-year-old. And the mare Jahura, Rayan Altaesh, also in the colours of King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz and Sons. The bottom one on that caption is the 6, Eshan Nura, Luis Morales. Over the page to find 7, which is Oral for Adel Al Faredi, also seeking a second winner on the programme. 8 is Large 30 for Mohammed Aldaham, out of sorts in the last few starts. The Red Stable do have a representative here. That is the 9, Yamtaz for Rakan Al Abaid, who can claim a couple of kilos. 10 is Al Safar for Yusuf Al Hussein. 11 is Ayat Al Mohammedir for Tariq Al Mansour. And 12, Taj Al Anaya for the Tariq Mohammed Anaya stable. Mohammed Al Hubail drawn in stall 1. '15 is Orjan Abdullah Alorfi. 16 Mandushi Noatha Mudiani. 17 doesn't go. On to 18 Saif Al Falah Abdullah Al Khamis. 19 is Fanar Khalid Al Mamoni. Reserves 20 and onwards not required. They are the runners and riders then for the 4th race of the programme. 0 to 75 handicap. Back to Callum Helliwell.
Thank you, Mark Francis. Hopefully you can pay that electricity bill and get some money in the meter there, pal. But they're coming back into the pre-parade ring here because we are running on a slight delay as they seal the track. So horses just making their way through into the pre-parade ring. Once they're in the pre-parade ring, I'll talk to you about them as normal. But the horse that is just coming by me now is horse number 9, Yamtaz. Now I'm going to make it very clear that this is the pick of the paddock. Horse number 9 just coming towards me. Jockeys just making themselves useful as they stand around. Wigbertie's just having a good old cuddle and I don't think he's got a ride until a little bit later on today, but he's just about as you'd like to see. So much talk in the weighing room with the jockeys as we were waiting for the rain to pass in our previous race about the Jockey Education Cup. There was a couple of younger brothers that were taking part, some cousins and plenty of family members, and a real buzz of activity about that. But you can see horse number 9 in front of me now. This is Yamtaz, and I'm going to make it clear this is the pick of the paddock early. Fahad Saad doing the trading. The form figures read 06000. So you'll be thinking plenty of duck eggs, not really much to get excited about, but this horse looks absolutely impeccable in the parade ring. And you've got Rakan Al Abaid in the saddle. Rakan Al Abaid, famous or infamous for starting the viral TikTok video all about me trying to get interviews earlier on in the season. So I've always got a soft spot for Rakan, plus he gave me a good link up to a good barber here in Riyadh as well. So I've always got a soft spot for him. And he will be riding Yamtaz, who needs to find some form, but looks really, really well in the prelims. We're just seeing horse number 10 will join the crew as well. This is Al Safar just coming out now. Really interesting headgear on Al Safar. Has a hood on, but also has the eye covers as well on that hood too. So that will just protect from all the extra kickback that comes through, but not often you see headgear like that. Let's drop back to the 16 Mandushi. Who is a smaller type, but I saw another one who looked really good in the prelims. Look, comes here with a rating of 71 We've seen plenty of handicaps already this week that have been really tight amongst the weights. This one not so much, but I thought this horse looked really well. No condition on it at all. Not the best of movers. There's a hint of string halt on the near hind there. As you can see, just that near hind doing a little bit more work than you'd normally expect. So not the best of conformations, and a little bit of a roach back as well, but I think that's pronounced just because of the way the horse is carrying himself right now. But this 4-year-old son of Closing Bell certainly can't be ignored. It's had the 10 starts, is a winner, which I think is important in a handicap like this. Just making his way down the weights now, finds himself at a mark of 71 after an uninspiring run last time out, but with this on penultimate start and certainly cannot be ignored. Let's focus towards some of the ones at the top of the handicap. We're going to focus on the 1 here. This is horse number 1. Let's start from the very beginning. Oh, sounded music styly. This is Mehama, partnered by Fawaz Wanas, part of the Wanas family who do so much racing here in Saudi Arabia, whether they're outriders, jockeys, social media, they are all involved, the Wanas family, and they will be cheering on Mehama, who is horse number 1. They're just going to be bringing that horse out now. We're going to have a bit of a traffic jam situation here. Great work now. Let's get a good shot of this as they'll make their way through, and we'll follow it now if we can. We'll get a good look at the 1 from behind. A good walker, really does cover the ground well. Good mover there. Now it's just keep going. Don't worry about the 2 that's coming alongside you. You're fine. We've got insurance. The horse just makes his way into the parade ring. He's quite a correct mover for a horse that you was typical of a local bred. You don't really think they're going to be that good of movers, but this one really is. He does cover the ground well. He looks really well in the coat as well. But again, he comes here with plenty of duck eggs next to the name as well. But he was running in some real hot local bred contests earlier this season. This back into 0 to 75 company is always dangerous. We'll go back to the 2 here. This is Kobosea, the son of Flashy Bull. Daughter of Flashy Bull, like I say. She's turned out really well. She's been hampered by the wet weather, but you can see she's really fit, got a poverty line clearly on display. Fit as a flea. She's not another one with not the best of walks. Actually, now, if we just slow down a bit and just get her from behind, just look at the way she walks out from behind. You can see her just stepping out on the near hind. That's not always a positive for me. I'd like them to see them walking a little bit better than that. And I remember, if they walk well, they gallop well. Let's look at Lajal Sati, the 8. Now down at a mark of 73. I'm really intrigued to see how Lajal Sati gets on with a plot job winner earlier on this season in 0 to 75 company. That was off a mark of 75. Did not go a yard last time. That was over the 1400 metres. Steps back to 1200 today. Doesn't strike me as a 1200 metre performer, but certainly looks well enough to do the damage today. Not carrying any condition and not really showing much of a winter coat either. I think Lajal Sati could be an intriguing player here. Now down at a mark of 71. They'll be looking to get a win out of this one before the end of the season. Mohammed Al-Daham will be doing the steering. But boys, if I had to make a paddock pick, it has to be the 9. Yamtaz is the one for me.
Well, that's an interesting run, isn't it, that Callum has put up there. Just trying to have a look at a price for Lajal Sati here. Horse number 8 on the card. And I can tell you, scrolling down a little bit further, we're looking at 20 to 1. So big outsider. 5 to 1 the field.
Yamtaz was the horse that Callum told us very quickly was going to be his paddock pick.
Yes, that's the 9, isn't it? And that is trading at a nice price as well at 16 to 1. So big prices abound. 5 to 1 the field. 10:35. Just going to be 5 minutes later, I think, than the advertised time, wasn't it? So
we'll be very rushing to get this off. 8 minutes to the off time here, so we're back on. Back on schedule as far as talking about the race is concerned.
Excellent. So top end of the market is 5 to 1 the field. Number 5, Jahura, is the market leader. We need to have a look at a form clue for this contest. And we're going to have a look, in fact, at Jahura. And this is the run back at the end of January.
Yes, and this is Jahura coming through to beat Motar by a length of 3/4 in a 1200 metres, winners of 1 last time out. Had been beaten over 1800 metres in a couple of starts prior to that. Seemed to benefit from the drop back to this trip, showing improved form. This is obviously a tougher contest in terms of just how competitive it is than this winners of 1, but it may well be that the key to this horse is the 1200 metre trip and could progress again back in a handicap. Rayan Altawersh on board.
Yeah, 5 horse rated 74. These again a very, very condensed handicap. 75 the top rated, 70 is the bottom rated, so there's just £5 between them. Give me some horses, Rory, that we could include here.
I thought the top 5 were all very interesting. And
top 5 in race card order.
They got a little bit less interesting from there down, although Callum's given us a couple to think about at bigger prices. So Mayhem is a horse who's probably going the wrong way, the top one. Ran well in a better race than Typhon's Turn. It was a cup prep. But then he's run really badly in all his starts since. Now, most of his races have been in better company, so he's taking a drop in class here. The last time he was in a handicap was in 0-80, but he's been close to last in most of those races. He's now with Saad Al Junaida, though, so a stable switch for Mayhem, and that could see him return to form. We saw Saad Al Junaida get a double last night. He's recently picked up a fair few horses for the White stable and getting results very quickly as well. So we could see a revival from Mayhem, but recent form has been disappointing. But he does have that back class that might see him show a bit more after a break. Jcsa was a course and distance winner in December, and has been fairly well beaten since, but those have been in tougher races. She's been running in races that are essentially a little bit too good for her, and she drops back to a 0-75 handicap, which is not without a chance back at this level. This is more her company than the races she's been in the last 3 times.
Yeah, I quite like Safer Al Hijaz, who is the 3 horse who's less exposed than the 2 you mentioned. Ran in the cup race last time, and again, if you take that sort of run, what happened as opposed to the marks we're dealing with.
Yeah, not been at all disgraced in cup races. 9th and 7th the last 2, but they've been in good races. And Saif Al Hijaz was an easy winner over course and distance in maiden company in January. And I thought he's probably actually shown improved form in his last 2 starts, facing much tougher rivals.
I think he might be a little bit better than
He was my
75,
race card pick in this race.
Oh, was he?
Race.
Okay,
yeah,
well, we might be in agreement.
We might well be on the same horse here.
Okay, yeah, 10-1 chance at the moment. And you say that the other 2 you like, particularly at the top, the 4
Yeah, well,
and 5.
Oshin's on Yakvek, number 4, who won his first 2 races, looking like a good prospect, but completely lost his way then, unplaced and unsighted, really, on his next 4, throwing up questions. Has moved to a stable that had a double on Thursday. Again, this is another one that's gone to Saad Al Junaida. Yeah. And it wouldn't be a surprise, if he's found the key to this horse. We don't know what went wrong with Yakvek. 2 good wins to start with. I mean, it was quite a narrow winner a second time, but Yakvek, now with Oshin on board, is seeking to bounce back.
Yeah, so 5, Johura, of course, is the favourite here, isn't it, in the white stable as well. So they've got the 4 and the 5, both the other horses at the top end of the market. He did win over the course and distance back in January, stays on the same mark of 74. Roberto says the 8 has got the best local rider here. Mohammed Al-Daham, he's a big fan. Is Roberto of Mohammed. Many, of course, are as well. Life is Blessed has gone with a bit of a numbers game here. 5, 12, 14. Thinks the 5 will win. Thinks 5 to 1 is a good price. Right, gathering down at the start. Interesting, you like all the horses at the top end. Are there any, I was going to say right at the bottom of the handicap, we're only talking a few pounds.
I'll give you my comments on whatever you want. Lajal Fatih's obviously been mentioned by a couple of people. Was a winner of a 1400-metre handicap in 0-75 company in January. He just seems to have gone off the boil in similar races since. 7th, 7th, 8th unplaced in his last 4 starts. Needs to bounce back. But as I said, for me that reads like a horse who's had a bit too much for the season and needs a break. But Callum suggests that he's actually looking okay in the parade ring. So maybe he's able to bounce back, and he's on a fair mark of 73 if he does.
I mean, the one thing that hit me with this race is, although the handicap marks are very tight, lots of these horses are either regressive or they've hit a negative spell, and lots of these been tumbling down. You're looking at horses who are, in the 80s, in the high 70s. I could probably list you about 10 of these that have fallen very rapidly. Now, of course, the great thing about the handicap system is they may well now be on a winning mark.
Well, exactly. Tarabot would be an interesting one in that regard as well, number 13. I mean, he seems to run every week. Finishing in front of a few of these when 5th in a big field behind Bint Master in a 1400-metre handicap last time. I think about 7 or 8 of these ran in that race.
Okay.
He fared just about, well, not quite best of them. I think Abura was slightly better. But Tarabot hinted at a revival. But he's on a bit of a losing run now. But he's become well handicapped. It's just a case of whether you think he's going through the motions in his races, or whether he's just waiting for a mark that can bite and he can show himself to full effect.
I mean, in a way, that is the issue is there are so many of those that are falling.
There are,
and for those that like to latch onto that kind of thing, you've got umpteen choices. I thought a lot of them, though, that were dropping were dropping rightly so, and I couldn't see, even off the revised mark, I couldn't see angles.
No, not
for
in the way. I mean,
these.
Taj Al Naya is a horse who's well enough handicapped, second over course and distance in December, and would go close to repeating that, but been disappointing otherwise, and that run last time out was very disappointing, again, at this level, so there's no real excuses. There's a few of these at the top, as I said. You can give them excuses because they've been taking on better horses.
Yes.
So I would be surprised. I thought at least two of the placed horses in this race, including the winner, would come from the first 5 horses there, because I think they've got a bit of class about them. There are plenty of these below that who could bounce back on their best form. They're on decent enough marks. But I thought most of the classier horses were towards the top there.
Yeah, I'll give you one other I quite liked, who's unexposed, which is the 15 Adjiwan, who I thought ran well over the course and distance. That was back in November. Has been given a drop down the weight.
Still a maiden Jan, but only had the 9 career starts. Was second in a weak maiden on her return to action. Has failed to be. I mean, second to a good horse in that maiden. The horse that Callum will know very well, whose name just escapes me at the moment, who ended up running really well, winning an open race, I think, next time out, and then was sold to the Red Stable for big money.
Right, they are loading up already. Selections then, are we both on 3?
Yes, Safe Ali Jazz, number 3 for me.
Okay, both with the 3 here, Callum?
Yeah, 9 for me. Mark Francis, who do you like in this tricky little handicap?
I know you also gave a mention to Large Starty, Callum, so I'll take that one from you. It's the kind of race where Large Starty would pop up with a win. She's won 5 times in her career. They're all very well spread out. Mohammed Al-Daham, certainly a good man to have on board. So Callum's with Yamtaz, the gents in the studio with Saif Al-Hijaz, and I'll go with the 8 Large Starty. Orjan coming forward. Mandushi will complete the line. Race number 4 here. Mandushi has been blindfolded. Ready to load into stall number 2, North Ahmadiani. He's had a good campaign, mostly in the colours of the Red Stable, who need to fight back here in the Owners' Championship. White Stable have taken the lead. Yamtaz, the only representative for Prince Faisal bin Khalid. Mandushi now beginning to lash out a little. One win in 10 starts. Well, this 4-year-old is being led away, trying to gather some momentum as they fire him into stall number 2. They get to the stalls. And Mandushi doesn't seem to be on a going day. Khalid Al-Mamoni on Fanar, away to the right in the pink jacket, is glancing across. So too is Mohammed Al-Hubayo in the yellow and black silks. Mandushi's almost there. That's it. Mandushi is in. Stand by. Race 4, and they're off and racing for this 0 to 75 handicap over 1,200 metres. Taj Al Naya from a low draw got out well. So too did Saif Al-Hijaz. Saif Al-Falah, white blinkers away to the left with the all-red silks of Yamtaz make up the leading quartet with Al-Safar. Orjan, black jacket, is rather keen. Cabasea is racing in midfield with Oral. And then came Tarabot on the outside, the grey in mid-division. Yakfek leads those in the white stable ownership. White cap towards the inside for Sheen Murphy. Mayhamar is next. Between those is Jahura. Right towards the back of the field, Fanar doesn't have many behind. Also towards the back is Eshan Noura. Large Starty is towards the rear. And Mandushi, who was last to load, is last in the contest. Straightening for home with 2 furlongs to travel. Saif Al-Hijaz is now going clear by 2.5. This side, Oral is now starting to get going. Yamtaz between runners, Cabasea and Tarabot is running on well from the back of the field with Abura. They race inside the final 100. Saif Al-Hijaz far side of Oral. Saif Al-Hijaz is clinging on up towards the line and will win. Saif Al-Hijaz passes the line with Oral, then came Abura, who was staying on from a different part of the Arabian Peninsula. Saif Al-Hijaz in 1:14 flat has got a win here for both Darrell Williams and Rory Delaghi. Oral, this side, got to the leader's girth, but wouldn't go past, has gone down by a neck in the end. Saif Al-Hijaz, number 3. has got the verdict by a neck. Oral didn't do a lot wrong in running. Adel Alfaredi denied the double. These two are pulled well clear of Abura, who was the eye catcher in third. Then came Jahura fourth, I reckon. Kabasea, Yamtaz, Tarabot, and Large Starty, another one to get going, but far too late. The numbers that matter, 3, 7, 14, and 5. Plenty to digest once Darrow and Rory have finished their celebrations.
Well, I think that's fair to say, Roy. It's one back for the studio here, and you know, I was taken when we hadn't discussed this beforehand, and we both have the same selection for our own sort of methods of finding. Went to the front and stayed there. Saif Al Hijaz 7, Oro in second, 14 Abura was third, 5 Jahura in fourth.
Yes, worked out quite nicely. That, as we said, Saif Al Hijaz has been just running in better races on his last couple of starts, having won a course and distance maiden 3 ago. And actually, I thought those runs, despite you look at the form figures and think, oh, this is out of form, I think he's been actually running better in good cup races.
Yeah,
you know, and you could say the mark at 75 looked potentially.
I could have had this horse sort of rated £10 higher. I mean, on a very basic system. But and interesting, you like the top of the handicap, and look at that in the top 5. We've got 3 of those top 5 rated horses.
So I'm glad that's also worked out. So I thought the winner would come from the top 5 and a couple of the places. So three of those in the prize money came from the top 5 in the weights. Aurel looked a big danger under Adel Alfaredi, who is as fine a jockey as you'll see here. Looked a big danger for a long way, but I think Saif Al Hijaz was not in the mood to stop and just kept galloping to the line and held on with just a little bit to spare.
Yeah, and in fairness to Oral, he's quite well handicapped, sort of went up, dropped back down, looks on a fair mark now, should be able to win off a 73.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the few horses in the race, or she rather, Oral, I should say, is one of the few in this race who's just a regular in not to 75 handicaps through the season, and occasionally drops low enough to be able to win one, and then has to wait for an opportunity again, but pretty consistent on the whole.
A thumbs up from Abdullah Al-Kharedis, who's won the 4th race of the day. Think we can go back to Callum?
Thanks, guys. Yes, well done in the studio. Saif Al Hijaz takes this victory. Got a lovely break. And remember, this one came from stall 10. The second came from 12. So it wasn't like it had that plumb inside draw and just made the most of it. It had to show early dash, but then was unable to really get anything else to get into the race. Oral tried and tried as he might to get there, but he was about 6 wide on the bend, had to do a lot of work to get into that position, and was just never able to close that gap. Did get close though. Poor Yamtaz, drawn out in the car park, did really well to show early speed, but got tired late on, ends up finishing 6th, and a good shout out for the 14, who have rattled home to take home 3rd. Mark Francis, if you like Lajal Sarti, watch out next season. I think that horse have a handicap race over the 1400 waiting, licking my lips for next season, and Lajal Sarti could be an exciting one.
Yeah, we're watching the finish. Thank you very much, Callum. And those of us on Saif Al Hijaz, you just begin to get a little bit worried maybe by Oral, who's starting to power forward in the green and the yellow colours.
Yeah. But yeah, and in normal circumstances, that would have been a winning run. Because you'd expect the horse leading in a race like this just to be a little bit vulnerable late in the day. But I thought Saif Al Hijaz found a little bit extra. You see the break, no real hard luck stories there, nothing desperately badly away. The horse that ended up finishing, I've moved on to the next race already, the horse that ended up finishing 3rd was well back in the field earlier on. And she's come home.
Black cap, yellow colours, almost at the rear,
from a bad position. That's kind of her thing though. It has to be said. She's a little bit frustrating in terms of not winning races, but often running on late to grab a bit of the prize money, which is the kind of horse I'd want to have if I owned a racehorse. If I could see it run regularly and I kept running into the frame to finish second or third and pay my training fees.
There's a great thing in
I'd be
American
very
racing
happy.
where they run sort of, non-winners are 3, non-winners are 4 or whatever, and a lot of trainers don't want to win too quickly because you go to the next grade, it's impossible.
Yes.
You stay nicking a bit of prize money in your grade, you can carry on there for a period of time and end up winning more. But that's another story. Here, the winner is in front, and the threat came, didn't it, from all on the outside, and not from too many others, really.
Not really, I know, but it's also worth pointing out, and I don't know how much of a difference it makes to the track, but because they've sealed the track, you're seeing less kickback, you're seeing the track look differently in the straight as well. And whether that makes it easier for horses to maintain their speed through the race from the front, I don't know. But obviously, our winner has done that. But I think he was entitled to win this on the basis of his recent form anyway. So whether there is a benefit to front runners, I'm not sure. Because again, we've got our third horse coming from well off the pace to close up late in the day. So I'm not sure there's any advantage. But the track is obviously writing a little different than it would.
Yeah, Proxy saying the 14 should have won Bura, who did finish back in third. I mean, would you agree with that? Come from a long way back? Or?
Yeah, but the problem with that is, if you say, oh, this horse has lost 10 lengths at the start, it was beaten 3 lengths. If your horse always loses 10 lengths at the start, you can't keep adding that back on again. It's something you've got to bear in mind that you have to know, well, this horse is going to lose track position early on. Is this the kind of race where that won't be punished particularly? If you're looking at a race where there might be a pace collapse, you go, well, I can go for a horse with that run style. You can't ignore the run style and say, well, if I hadn't done that, it would have won. If it's a habit, if a horse has stumbles at the start or gets a bump at the start,
then they're the ones you want to know and take away, aren't they?
Is caught on the hop at the start and it wouldn't normally be slowly away, then you can say, well, that would have won. But for horses who have a tendency to start slowly or get themselves lose their track position early on, that's something you've got to factor into your calculations.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, unlucky stumbling horses who just get a bad break, then of course, but if you do it on a regular basis. So we're getting some revised times coming in, which hopefully we've got down here. So race 5 is going to go off at 11 o'clock now. Race 6 at 11:25. Race 7 is 11:50. And race 8 is 12:15. So we're going to be 5 minutes later than the originally revised times. So stick around if you can.
And we've done well there. Essentially, they needed to do extra track maintenance, which is bound to delay us, and it delayed us by precisely 5 minutes.
Now,
so
nobody will do better work tonight than yourself, Rory, if you can find us the winner of the next race. Of course, this is the Arabian Maiden.
I looked at this in a different way.
Oh, right, okay.
And I came up with one.
Did it involve a dice?
It didn't. It involved focusing on a particular trainer who's got 4 runners in the race.
Right, okay.
And then trying to work out. First of all, I think this is the best trainer in the race. Hopefully a trainer that Callum will be able to speak to as well. And then thinking, right, well, who would ride the best horse from this yard? You can't really read much into the pedigrees. And I thought, right, I've gone through the trainer's record. The jockey he'd normally put up on his better horses is.
I love the way you're dripping this bit by bit to us.
Yeah, so I'm very much hoping that in this race, number 9, Nawaf Gouda, who represents the trainer Rayan Al Ibrahim and is ridden by Abdullah Alofi, is the pick of 4 from Rayan's stable. He's a trainer who gets plenty of success, knows what he's doing, has multiple entries, and this looks the stable first string. All right, okay. We can evaluate that further after we've heard from Mark with all those runners and riders.
Yeah, plenty here, Darryl, so stick around for these. The Arabian race tonight is for 3-year-olds at the start of their careers, over 1,200 metres. Only 5 of these have had a run before. Debutant here is the 1 after Eklil for Meshal Al-Mazid, one of many first-time starters. Al-Nadawi is 2 for Double Tegan Abdullah Al-Kredis. 3 is Shawayman for Ra'id Al-Faroz. 4 is Ayman Wasset, North Al-Firuz. 5 is Burkan A. Nuna, North Al-Midiani. 6 does have some experience in 8th place on debut, Dosa Al-Riyadh, Iyad Al-Tarizi. 7 is Majed Sanam for Khalid Al-Mamoni, that's the 7. 8 is Mane for Naif Al-Anazi, no longer Farwas Wanas. 9 is Norworth Gudar for Abdullah Al-Lawfi. 10 doesn't go, so on to 11, which is Sati Kanon for Adel Al-Faridi, looking for a double. 12 is Saif Al-Amamir for Thurb Al-Timyat. 13 is Shaki Al-Naif for Abdullah Al-Hisay. 14 over the page is Shibil Al-Bari for Amma Al-Sayyid. 15 is Talal Gudar for Mohammed Al Hubail. 16 Thabet Judah double seeking Azil Al Sahani on board. 17 is Thuani Al Nakwa, I should say, Abdullah Al Khamis. And 18, drawn in stall 1, is Zamil Al Zamili for Tariq Al Mansour. The rain continues to come down. It's safe to say we're going to need plenty of help from Helliwell.
Thank you very much, Francis. Yes, this is horse number 5, Burkan Ainua, who is just in shot here. Lovely type, well-built individual, on debut in a Jcsa rules. Remember, some of these horses may have run at some of the provincial tracks here in Saudi Arabia, but this one looks in good shape here. Nawaf Al-Mudiani on board as well is not a bad jockey booking. Plenty of positives about number 5. Let's go straight back to number 6, late into the parade ring, Dosa Al Riyadh, but looks really well. I think looks in really good shape, clearly ready to go. Is just about half a step away from putting up a big old kick, but seems pretty happy at the moment in here. Obviously, these babies are having to handle not only their first day at school, but also the weather that keeps on coming here. But nice enough type here. Handler just making sure this horse is reminded that there is a bit in his mouth and he has to stand up and behave himself. But I like the 6, nice looking type. Let's go to the 8, is the next one we'll look at. Manet is the next one. My notes are covered in water. Laminated pages work a treat until the rain comes down and you can't see a thing. So the 8 is Manet. Another one who I mentioned, similar type before. Nice, well-built individual, nice short back, good back end, plenty to like about this one. Not the most exciting of walks, quite short staccato movement, but more positives than negatives. Oh, steady now. We go back to the 9. This is the one that Rory Delaghi really likes, and what you liked on paper, I like in the physical as well. Nawaf Gouda is a really nice looking type, probably the most physically advanced of a lot of these. Definitely a mature looking type, walking really well. Look at the difference in the walk, really does active, covers the ground well, bouncy. Things you like to see, handling this rain and wind and thunder and lightning absolutely fine. Remember, we go off at 11 p.m. for this one, which is 8 p.m. UK time. Let's track back to the 11. I thought this is an interesting one as well. Sati Kanon, partnered by the top jockey here at Del Al Faradi. That's always a positive. Maybe just a little bit more immature than the last horse we looked at. Maybe slightly weaker. I'm going to admit it, maybe slightly weaker. I'd be more drawn to the 10 personally. And finally, I wanted to take a look at one more in here, who is just going to be the 17 is the last one we're going to have a look at now. Oh, sorry, actually the 14 first. 14 looks really well in the coat. Sorry, just back one more, I apologise. There we go, the 14 is the one. I was trying to find a horse again. Looks really well in the coat, the 14. This is Shibal Al-Bari, is another one making racecourse debut today, handling everything really, really well, and certainly has to make your shortlist. And finally, we will give you the 17. This is the last one coming towards me now. Thuani Al Nakwa, for owners we know very well, with Raqid Al Ansari. Certainly connections that you want to be on the right side of. This horse again, another one making racecourse debut, but looks really well in the coat, with late into the parade ring, like the 6, clearly having a think about things. Don't be put off by that. He's just looking at the outriders. And another one you'd have to have on your shortlist. Guys, to be honest, it's a real pin sticker, but I think I'll join the boys in the studio with Nawaf Gouda here. Rory Delaghi and Callum Helliwell teaming up early here.
Well, it's always good when you can do it in numbers, of course, so confidence from the paddock, from Rory, with your sort of way of analysing this race. Rory, 13-2, Nawaf Gudar, by the way. The favourite is number 11, which is probably jockey-based, isn't it? That is Sati Kanon.
The 11 was Sati Kanon was made favourite on his debut here. A few of these ran in the same race. There's about 5 of them who ran in the same race, and none of them finished closer than 7th. Sati Kanon finished 7th in that race, despite starting a fairly short price favourite. The fact it was ridden by a top rider then, ridden by Adel Al-Faradi's come in for the ride now,
yes.
Which suggests that they think that he's still capable of showing better form and that he was fancied first time out. So Sati Kanon is interesting for that. And obviously he showed a little. He's beaten 20 odd lengths first time out.
Which is
but then one or two of
it,
these. Number 6, Dosar Al Riyadh, who Callum gave a reasonably positive mention to. He was beaten almost 90 lengths in that race.
Yeah.
So again, a few of these just not ready to race yet, effectively, and it's all new to them. We talked about first day at school. Those who've raced before may have an advantage simply because they've been through the process once, and that will have taught them a fair bit. but nothing sets any kind of standard in this race.
So
I don't think a newcomer could win it.
On your theory then regarding the well-represented Rayan Al Ibrahim, you've gone with the 9 on the basis of the jockey booking. In terms of the market, that horse 13-2, but so is the stablemate Ayman Wasset, the 4 under Nawaf Al Farouz. So is it just purely the jockey? Securing of the jockey on the 9.
Nawaf Al Farouz would be ahead of Riyadh Al Farouz, who's claiming the 1 kilo there. And if I had to pick between the two of them, I'd probably go for Ayman Wasset. But I simply going on who's riding all the horses, and we've seen some good winners in these colours as well, of Nawaf Gouda. And Abdullah Al-Lofi would definitely be a go-to jockey. Still 15 might put a lot of people off. That would be a concern.
Yeah.
But again, in a race like this, with probably a wide variety of abilities on show, and a big difference between how ready some of these horses are as well, the draw might not be absolutely crucial. So hopefully, Nawaf Gouda can get away well. But I could see that if you're pricing this up, you definitely take the draw into consideration and go 15 looks a hard draw for a newcomer, and knock it out a little bit. But he would definitely be the one that I would favour of the 4 from the Al Ibrahim stable.
Hi to, I think this is Hajoy, who's just joined us. Good to have you on board. Life is Blessed has been with us, of course, all the way through this Friday evening or Saturday morning, depending where you're watching, and continues to provide us with lots of selections. 4, 8, 17 of the magical numbers from Life is Blessed. The favourite is shortening. Now, is this down to Adele's being secured for the ride on the 11? But not sure, but Sadi Cannon is now 9-4, Rory, from 11-4. So Live.
Someone fancies it, and obviously, as I said, we know that it showed a little bit on debut, and it holds most of these who raced in that contest last month. That was on the 8th of February, so they had a few weeks to sort of come over it, get over that. It was 7th of 20, big field there, beaten 26 and a half lengths, just to give the exact distances there. But he did fare better than 1 or 2, and clearly better was expected, and he's probably too green to do himself justice. So it wouldn't be a big surprise to see him improve. And the fact that, as I said, Sami Al-Materi is putting Adel Alfa Radio on board. Last time out, Abdullah Al-Kradis rode it. So he was going for leading riders in this sort of discipline to ride the horse, suggesting it's showing something at home. And people clearly more than happy to give it a second chance.
Yeah, I can certainly see the logic behind that, and I think I'm going to be steering that way in terms of selection, because probably like a lot of our viewers, I'm struggling to find other angles here. Life is Blessed back on to say Asil Al Sahani on the 16 for him is a jockey in form, but Roberto says, as many might be nodding in agreement with these words, which is a difficult race this next time.
It's obviously a very difficult race because the form that we have isn't very good.
No.
But you always think in a race like this, maybe just having a run, even if it didn't amount to much, will be an advantage. Rain's coming down heavier than ever here, and we're still hearing a little bit of thunder behind us. But yeah, it's a tough race, and obviously the conditions will be more of an issue for these young horses than they would be for the more experienced runners. Not many of them would have seen this sort of rain, but these are very young and experienced horses as well, so it's a complicating factor.
Gosh, there's lots of factors to bear in mind, aren't they? As you say, that look at this rain now; it's heavy once again, and a contingent of assistants making their way towards the dryer, the weighing room here. So yes, we're expecting rain still to be prevalent all through the night, certainly until around 2 a.m. in the morning. And you probably hear it now.
Yes.
If we stop talking, I think you probably can.
There's a little flash of lightning as well there, so I think we may have to have another look at things, but hopefully we'll get through it.
I mean, these are such trying times, aren't they, for the officials here, because you just don't know what to do for best. I mean, what they've done makes logical sense, which is to try and keep going as quickly as you can with those little delays factored in because of, obviously, the sealing of the track, which happened before the previous race on the dirt and other issues. But, I mean, we're doing very well, actually, to only be 15 minutes behind schedule at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to labour that point in case it sees
No, it might.
delayed further. But yes, given how trying conditions have been, we've done pretty well.
Okay, selection-wise then, Rory?
Well, I've pretty much tied myself to number 9 here.
Okay, and I'm going to take the jockey booking route here, which is with the favourite, number 11, Sati Cannon. So we've got a 9 and an 11, and 9 for Rory, 11
Now
for
what's good?
myself.
Sorry, just to clarify, it's my selection.
That is your selection, the 9. And Callum, what have you got?
I've gone with the 9 as well, team. Rain. It's really interesting the way it's raining here, because it will just drizzle, you get a bit of lightning, a bit of thunder, no one really gets too concerned, and then it just opens up and it hammers down. Really is stunning to see. It's proper weather, as you like to call it. Everyone keeps telling me it's like Britain, right? And I'm like, I don't even think we get rain this bad. So I've had to keep telling people it's not like this all the time in Britain. Sometimes we do get a bit of sunshine, trying to fight for the British. But on this occasion, I think I'm Nawaf Gooda here, the 9. Just a little bit physically more developed than a lot of these. But we went along that path with the fillies contest yesterday. It didn't quite work out. So you'll be hoping on this occasion, we'll be looking for a horse that's a little bit more forward, a little bit more mature, and hopefully can take a step forward here on debut. Comes out of stall 15. The thing that's really noteworthy here is the conditions. A lot of these babies would have got very, very revved up. They were getting revved up in the parade ring and will certainly be getting revved up now. They include the 6, who I remember was late in. That's Jcsa Al Riyadh. That horse got revved up in the parade ring as well. I think the 8 handled himself well enough. That wasn't too much of a problem. One who looked very good in the coat, Shibal Al-Bari, coming out of stall 10 on debut. Mar Al-Said is on board. He doesn't get too many rides, which would be a little bit of a concern. I do like to have an established rider on board my purebred Arabian selections, but he did look well in the parade ring. The thunder is rumbling, the rain is falling, but they're loading quickly. Mark Francis, in the dry, it's over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Callum. This is certainly the toughest puzzle of the night. Well done to our team for even getting to a selection. Most of these have never run. Half of these aren't even fully grown. The ones that have run haven't really shown much. Most of these look like ponies, to be honest. Didn't really need to be legged up, some of the jockeys. They're that small. Anyway, race 5. Off and racing. Getting a really good start was Shawayman from stall number 5. The grey with a yellow noseband is sent forward. So too is Birkin A. Nuna. And it is Birkin A. Nuna who has now bagged the rail and got the overall lead. The green and white colours of Thuani Al Naqwa, and between those is Sati Cannon, the market leader, very well placed as they complete the first couple of furlongs. Zamil Al-Zamilaya, the red jacket on the inside of Al-Nadawi, 4 and 5. Then came Afdal Eklil, who is now improving on the outside. They are very, very well strung out here. Jcsa Al Riyadh is running in 6th position, but already being pushed along. And then a yawning gap back to the remainder, who are headed by Saif Al-Amamir. Then came Majed Sanam and Shibil Al-Bari. The other 6 or 7 look completely hopeless as they come into the straight. And this side, Afdal Eklil for Michel Al-Mazid has now taken over. And look at this one go. Afdal Eklil now extending the advantage to 5-6 lengths on Thuani Al Naqwa in 2nd. Then came Sati Cannon with no answers in 3rd. We might see a nice one here. Afdal Eklil is going clear for Michel Al-Mazid. A big day for the young pilot. Afdal Eklil in a different league. Thuani Al Naqwa always prominent in the run, got 2nd. Sati Cannon, the market leader, home in 3rd. Take your pick for 4 and 5. Al-Nadawi, perhaps, with the initial verdicts. Afdal Eklil, well, first and foremost, well done if you backed it. 120 flat, pretty much. Afdal Eklil has run away with this in pretty good style. Hard to say what any of the form really equates to. There's still 1 or 2 coming past us here to complete. Fabet Judar, last to complete. And look at that, signs of greenness about number 1, Afdal Eklil. Took a wandering step crossing the line, but is well clear. 9.5 lengths is the winning distance between himself and the 17th, Thuani Al Naqwa in 2nd. Sati Cannon, well beaten in the end in 3rd. Al-Nadawi was the initial preference for 4th position. We'll speed up the tape to see 4th position. Al-Nadawi it is, number 2, who got 4th. Shibil Al-Bari this side of Saif Al-Amamir for 5th and 6th positions. No doubt about the winner, though. Big day for Michel Al-Mazid, who has guided Afdal Eklil to a winning start.
So we've got a big price winner, not for the first time. Afdal Akil has won at, we believe, 33 to 1. The international prize beat 17. Thawani Al Naqwa, and then the 11, the favourite Sati Canon, was back in third under Adel Al Faradi, and 2 Al Nadawi in fourth. 1, 17, 11, 2, 33 to 1, 25 to 1, 12 to 1, 10 to 1, and of course the odds-on favourite in the other race. Tough times for punters today, Rory.
Yeah, and this is one of those races where you didn't have an awful lot of information on the horses. You're relying on knowing about the trainers, and to be honest, I couldn't tell you an awful lot about our trainer, Mr. Al Nahabi. I think this is his 9th winner of the season from quite a lot of runners, but I didn't notice him making much of a splash last season. I know nothing at all about Meshal Almazid. The first time I've seen his name on a race card, the winning jockey. The sire I'd not heard of either, so I was struggling. And he was on a stall 18. So when you get that and you're writing the race, you got another 18 horses to get through. You immediately write off.
I'm guessing you weren't very positive with your comments on that.
Yeah, I put his breeding in there and said wide draw was no help to a newcomer, and that's as far as I could go, because there's no really more information I could dig out. It didn't look like a significant jockey booking. Again, we'll probably find out that, again, we have regional tracks where some of these trainers and jockeys are probably riding a few winners. But
possibly so.
Yeah.
Well, Callum's in the midst of it with this rather surprising winner of race 5.
I think Rory Delaghi's explained it brilliantly. A trainer who hasn't had too many winners, a jockey we've never heard of, stall 18, racecourse debut, wins. You couldn't have written it. But this horse has done very well. Absolutely swung into the race under Meshal Almazid, who will be absolutely chuffed a bit for this. As you can see, winning connections, over the moon with that success. And obviously, I've actually seen our colleague from the Arabic channel. We've got some information here. I'm going to find out some information here. Excuse me. Firstly, fantastic. Is this another one you own?
Yes, it is.
So you've had a little bit of, let's find our back for this one. You've had a little bit of success this season as well with winning a few of the big purebred Arabian races. This one was a little bit of a surprise. Had he run elsewhere before coming here?
Yes. Well, this horse comes from a great bloodline, from Al-Mamum Al-Law, and his dam line is from Tuwaiq, like Layth Al-Khaldiyah, very famous stallion here. We ran him in Qasim twice. He came third and first as a preparation, yeah. So he came here equipped with some experience, and he's been showing good deal, really. I was really afraid with these conditions, but luckily he has a strong heart with a great jockey, Mishal. He knows him very well, and the great trainer, Abdullah. Alhamdulillah, he made a good win. I think this horse has a good, great perspective in front of him. He will be one of the big names in Taif, King Faisal Cup, and inshallah, King Abdulaziz.
Very, very exciting. Could you tell us a little bit more about the jockey, Meshal Almazid? Because at our channel, we don't know very much about him at all.
Yes, Meshal Almazid, I mean, he's, let's say, a famous jockey here. Unfortunately, last year he was away for some personal reasons. He was studying. He came back to this year. I trust him a lot because this jockey, mainly, he doesn't work with muscles, he works with the brain.
Oh, okay.
So I choose him for special horses, like Saif Berzan, for example. He's crazy in his mind, but he was the first one who managed to bring him in the right path. So yes, he doesn't have that big chances, but whenever he rides, you can see that he gives a show, especially if the horse is ready. So he's located in Qasim, and he runs there, and walks the horses there. And inshallah, you'll see him with us in Taif as well.
Could you tell us a little bit more about Qasim? Whereabouts in Saudi Arabia is it located?
Yes, Qasim is in northern of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, 300 kilos from there. We have a big racetrack here called King Saud racetrack, and it is in Buraida. It is, I believe, it is after the King Khalid in Taif, and first, of course, King Abdulaziz. It comes third. Big population there, big trainers, big jockeys, big names comes from there. For example, Mohammed Adham, big jockey, he's from there.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's a very good deal, and you should pay a visit there.
Certainly will. We'll be looking forward to visiting Qasim, certainly, and hopefully we'll see this horse in Taif. Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll see him and mark his name. He'll be a big name, inshallah.
We'll put him in our notebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was wonderful, wasn't it? Getting a real good comprehensive guide to the trainer and the jockey. 17 as they go through the puddles. They're in the green sleeves. The jockey's going to lose the whip any moment now.
For Michel Almazid, good interview from Callum, picking up information that we need. For Michel Almazid, good interview from Callum, picking up information that we needed to know there. I hadn't heard of Michel, but he's ridden a few winners here before, but he wasn't here all last season when we were here, because as we were told, he was away studying, but he's back now and riding another winner. He picked up sort of, you know, his sort of sitting in the top 50 in the jockeys table, but not really hitting the heights, but clearly a very competent jockey, and on a horse who seems to have a lot more ability than the majority that he was racing against today.
Well, I think this horse was the third biggest price in the international market, which is understandable, of course, because obviously we don't know much about the form elsewhere.
That's why we need to speak to Abdul Rahman the day before the race.
Number 18, right towards the outside as well.
Which is really tough. And we saw a couple of horses in a big field race here yesterday with little experience, just as the horse who was drawn on his outside, just get completely lost because you end up getting detached from the rest of the field, and you're clueless to know what to do. Whereas he had enough about him because he'd had those 2 runs before, as we heard, to be able to get himself into a good position early.
So not many got into it, Rory, in fairness.
Not really, no.
3 or 4 at best.
And a few of them clearly struggling with the fact that the rain is coming down during this race, and you see standing water on the track as well. And I imagine it was probably difficult, particularly for these younger, inexperienced horses, to make ground from behind, particularly when you really had about 7 or 8 horses who broke away. And the back 4 of those were probably struggling to keep up at that stage.
Favourites in the black in 2 off the fence there was travelling well. It's come under a bit of pressure. All of a sudden, the winner is starting to assert.
Yeah, the winners looked a lot better than his opposition here. Obviously, the only clue I probably should have picked up a little bit was the colours, knowing that this was connected to Abdul Rahman. Again, we see his colours a couple of times. He had a couple of winners at the big festival of purebred Arabian racing here in January, which isn't fully sanctioned by the Jockey Club, so the results don't go in the form book either. But you could see that he's a fairly shrewd operator, works for the Arabic channel here as well, so really good guy to talk to. But yes, if we could have talked to him yesterday, that would have helped us all a little bit better, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would have done. But we've got to move on. That race has happened. We're moving on to one of the feature races. In fact, the last 3 races all very important. And we start with this award race coming up. It is race number 6. Let's get back to Mark for all the details.
Yeah, spot on, Darryl. The last 3 races are all crackers, really, in their own right. 3-year-olds again. This time we're back with thoroughbreds. 1,800 metres here. That's 9 furlongs. Asil heads them for Khaled Al-Mamoni from stall 9, looking for 2 wins in a row. The same could be said for number 2, drawn to Adel Al-Faredi on board. 3 is Hatta Al-Kalam for Wigberto Ramos. 2 wins from 3 starts, this 3-year-old, and could be capable of better. Ali Al-Hamar for Ferret Al-Sanatan. 5 is Al-Nabak for Abdullah Al-Credis. 6 is Azmir Wagali for Jose Rodrigo. 7, Motathabatar for Asheen Murphy. That's the 7. 8 is Dubamine, certainly capable, Iyad Al-Tarizi. 9 is Ganabi for Abdullah Al-Farouz. 10, Interlac for Abdulaziz Al-Faredi. Remains a maiden. So too does 11, Katroof, Tariq Al-Mansour. Motawathabar is 12, Rayan Al-Taesh, 2 wins from 9 so far. 13 over the page is Mutarami, Azil Al-Sahani. 14, Saif Najad is the mount of Naif Al-Anazi, both 13 and 14, also looking for victory number 1. 15 is Ablik for Mohammed Al-Daham. Nasara Allah is another for the white stable here, Farwas Wanas. 17, Motawalia is the mount of Abdullah Al-Khamis, that's a late jockey addition. 18, Zakat Al-Matar is the mount of Abdullah Al-Saidi. So a field of 18 runners then going for this award contest over 1,800 metres. The 3-year-olds are in the parade ring, as is our man, Callum Helliwell.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, Ayla Malik is the first one we're going to look at. She has been improving all the time. He, I should say, has been improving all the time, and you can see why. Look at his frame. He's a big boy, and he's clearly taken a bit of time to come to hand. He's got a lug around only 59 kilos here, not lugged with 62 or anything like that. I think he's got every chance today. He looks in fantastic shape, doesn't he? Got the summer coat on, typical of the red stable, and typical of Sami Al-Harabi, carrying a bit of chunk, but that's all muscle. I wouldn't let that put you off at all. Certainly makes your shortlist. We'll go straight to number 3, Hassan Al-Kalam, who's won 2 of the 3 career starts, and with a bit of a shock winner last time. A completely different build here, much more petite, well put together type, certainly barely over 15 hands, I imagine. Looks like a pony, but certainly has plenty of ability. This colt by Teletext. Wigberto Ramos on board. He partnered Taj Bladi to victory in the big juvenile race earlier on in the season. Big race, Wigberto. A cup winner last week. Would be no surprise if he can win this award race this time. Let's go to Ali Al-Hamar, horse number 4, coming towards us now. This liver chestnut, really taking individual. This one looks fit as a flea. Good walker, nice mover, handling everything really well. We'll just make sure now after doesn't get too close to the back end of it, because remember the front end bites and the back end does kick. But the 4 looks nice. Look, the form hasn't been there compared to some of the others in this field, and a rating of 63 suggests he has plenty to do. Let's drop all the way back now to the 7. Here is the one we're all looking forward to seeing. Here she is, Mota Sabetta. She has been a star this season. Now, we're just going to grab him because he's currently looking at the wrong horse. So let's just move back to the 7. Here is the next one we're going to look at. This is Mota Sabetta just coming towards me now. Gorgeous individual, isn't she? She's what I would call the perfect type. She's so well put together. She's not long in the back. She's got a nice strong neck. She's got a good enough walk on her as well. She's not overly big. You can see why she was so successful early in her career, because she's not got a big frame to grow into. And if she can repeat what she did last time out behind Taj Bladi, she would have every chance. The only concern for Connections will be she often gets a little bit far back in the field, and on this sloppy ground, maybe she'll find it a little bit tougher. But you can't rule her out here. She's certainly a nice type. Okay, let's make our way through a couple more of them here. We'll just keep out the wash of everybody coming through. The next one we'll look at is the 11. This big one coming towards us now. Is a real eye-catching type. Still a maiden in this field, but Katouf is certainly a horse you want to keep on the right side of. Only had the 1 start, but interestingly chuck this one straight into this sort of company. It'll be a tough ask and a big shock, but clearly a horse that you want to be following next season. Katouf is one that I want to keep on the right side of. Maybe not today, but certainly in the future. We'll look at the 12, who's the next one towards us. This is Moto Wasabar. Came from the clouds last time, relished every step of that journey, and certainly can't be ignored here. Wasn't fancied on that day either, and isn't really fancied today, but certainly can't be ignored. Clearly fit, has had plenty of racing, and has a jockey on board in Rayan Altarech, who certainly knows what he's doing. And finally, we just want to look at one more. This is the 15. Oblique is the next one we're going to take a peek at. Another one of the chunky fillies, Mohammed Al Daham's mount. Isn't she a big girl? She does fill the eye, doesn't she? She's got plenty to do here, but she is a winner early in her career. Your only concern is this might be all a bit too fast and furious for her, but Oblique is gorgeous and certainly one you have to watch. The Paddock pick, fortunately for me, is your favourite, I think, Mota Sabetta.
Yeah, Mota Wabetta and, Mota Watabar and Mota Tharbetta. Thankfully, I haven't got to call those at speed in a commentary. That's Mark Francis's job. But just because it'd be interesting and fun, we'd love them both to be involved in the finish, which may well be the case. But you're talking about a 2-5 favourite here, Rory, in Mota Tharbetta. So we better have a look at this this piece of form. This was in the Grade 1 Cup, wasn't it, back?
Yeah, this obviously is the King Abdulaziz Cup, which is a local Group 1, and was favourite to win this this day. Mota Tharbetta having been on a bit of a roll, but ran into a top form Taj Bladi, who just got the job done, but still a very creditable performance in a much deeper race than this. I suppose if you've got a concern, it might be that Mota Tharbetta has been very busy this season.
Second piece of VT, sorry, just to stop you there. This was number 3 on the card. This is Hatta Al-Kalam's, emphatic win here back in an award race.
This was a very easy win in the Abdul Mohsen Al-Bassam Award last time out. Wigberto Ramos takes over today from Ricardo Sosa Ferreira, who rode him on this day. Very impressive on this occasion. Obviously, this is a slightly tougher race, particularly when you look at the favourite. If it wasn't for the market leader, it would be a similar sort of contest. So those two appear to be 2 of the 3 to concentrate on the race. Ayla Malik's got plenty of class as well, would probably be the other one on my short list. Plenty of these look a little bit outclassed.
Lots of correspondence coming in tonight. Adrian's joined the party. Fancy one in the previous race. Commiserations. That's a tough race, wasn't it, the previous race? 33-1 winner. But thank you for your selection, Adrian. And Life is Blessed and Roberto. They're having a little bit of a conversation going on selections here. Life is Blessed has kept us busy. And I think it's on the 15 in this race. Roberto asking, is anyone going to Cheltenham next week? Anyone go to Cheltenham? The producer is. Greg, the producer's going. You can meet up with him.
Most of us are staying here to do our service to the final meeting.
We're not
final
leaving.
week of the Saudi meeting.
Last week,
Saudi season, rather, yeah.
You wouldn't go home early, would you, last week?
Not.
You know, but Cheltenham calling. 2-5, the favourites. Motatha better. 11-4 is Hatha Al Kalam, the 3, and Ayla Malek, the 2. Now, we should point out, of course, because you've done all the maths on this, this is an award, so this gets more points than your average.
2 points for the side. We did scribble down the points. You've got 5 points for a Group 1, 4 points for a Group 2, 3 points for a Group 3, 2 points for an ordinary cup race.
Yeah.
2 points also for an award, which is essentially a sponsored open race.
Okay.
With a bit more prize money than most. And then it's 1 point for ordinary races, which are maidens and winners of 1, winners of 2, and opens.
So obviously the White Stable have got the odds-on favourite and more likely to take the 2 points here. But of course, if the Red Stable were to win with the second or third favourite, they would leapfrog back to the top.
They would indeed, and that makes it quite interesting, especially as essentially you've got the second and third in the market here, and they both got better draws on paper than Motatha Betta. Ayla Malik drawn in stall 2, and Hatha Al Kalam, who's the likelier of the two on recent form, drawn in stall 7. He's also completely unexposed, having won 2 from 3. With Berto Ramos on board, we were going to have a chat about Wiggy. He's been the sort of, he's the sort of the granddaddy of the jockeys here.
Again, Rory, he's here for one ride, and yet he's got a higher percentage over the last 50 rides than any other jockey here, 29%.
He did go quite a while this season. He had one winner in the Taif season, and it took a while to get a second winner of the season here. But he's since he's not been riding, I don't think he's quite capable of taking a full book of rides these days.
Is he the Mike Smith of American racing?
He is. I guess he is a little bit. Yeah, he's the wrong side of 50 now. He can't be too far away from retirement. He did have the greatest moment of his career just 2 or 3 seasons ago, winning the Saudi Cup, and he's been enormously important for the development of Saudi racing, especially in terms of getting jockeys coming over from Colombia, from Panama, for example, and bolstering the ranks here, and which has benefited the local jockeys as well. So he's a legendary figure here, but he is coming towards the end of his career. But he has found a new lease of life in recent weeks just by riding, the occasional match.
Just by wiggling, which is an aspect of why people remember when he has a winner, because it sticks in the mind, doesn't it?
The Wigberto wiggle, indeed.
Wiggle.
Well, and you always get when I think of that, I immediately think of the Callum Helliwell wiggle alongside it, which just
Is that the famous wiggle here? Was it the season before last or last season?
Last season, yeah,
with Tom and I can't remember who else was involved, but Shamila as well. Yeah, so
we had a few wiggles from Wiggy back then, but it had been a quiet season. But as you said, his strike rate recently is fine, and I think he's found it better not trying to take on a heavy workload as a rider and just sort of pick and choose what he rides, and then he can really concentrate on that. And I'm about the same age as Wiggy, and I certainly find a
Would you take one ride a day if you were offered it?
One game of paddle a week is the way I look at it. To be, I'd do 2 a week, given the opportunity.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, given his current form, I'd love to see the profit and loss stats on Wiggy, and I wonder whether you would be profitable if you're backing him at the moment. Anyway, that's enough of Wiggy talk. We could go on all night. Selections. Are you going to be ambitious, or are you going to follow the in
I'm
crowd?
going to be boring and go with Motawathaba.
You got to, haven't you? Here, 7-3-2.
Well, sorry, not Motawathaba. Motathataba.
Oh yes, get the right one.
Motawathaba being number 12. He's also in the same colours, and we're very much hoping those two fight it out, just for Mark Francis.
Which in this instance is a good reason. Horses have numbers as well as names, of course. So yes, I am with the favourite. Horse number 7, over to Callum.
Motta Better. Very simple team, Motta Better. So Motta Better is a number 7, and that is the pick for me as well. She's just such a well-proportioned individual. It is the triple kiss of death. It's the first time we've all joined up in a selection this evening, and hopefully Mark Francis will be able to call her home victorious all the way out in stall 18.
Motta Better then, market leader, Oisin Murphy, 4-11 on the international markets. Hopefully, Motta Wathabar isn't anywhere near come the finish. She is a 20-1 chance, but she is. She finds herself 4th place in the market, as it really is speaking in high volumes towards Motta Better. Hatha Al-Kalam 11-4, Ayla Malik 5-1. Everything else bigger than 20-1. Okay, final few coming forward. Interlac is one of those. So too is Ayla Malik. And we're just about set then for race 6. Award race, 9 furlongs. They're off and racing for this award. Over 1,800 metres, 3-year-olds in action. Rather awkward beginning for Asmir Wagali, the horse with the yellow headgear. Has got away okay, was breaking sharply left. The one that got the best start of all was Ali Al-Hamar with the green cap. We've lost one there as well. We've lost one. Can't really see who it is, sadly. The jockey's still on the floor. We'll get to that when we can. So drama through the first couple of furlongs. It is Ali Al-Hamar then with the green cap who has gone on. Red cap with the white stable runners. Nasara Allah is already being vigorously ridden along, is prominent enough with Ablik. Between those is Hatha Al-Kala. This is the leading 4. Motta Better, then the white cap away to the left, is being stalked by Dubamine out wide, and then came Ganabi. This group of 7 or 8 are going clear. Just confirming that it is Asil who has gone. Khalid Al-Mamoni taken off. Asil, the loose Asil, continues on the inside of Catch Roof. And then came 1 or 2 strugglers. Mutarami is well back, so too is Motta Wathabar. That's exactly where we want her. Then came Zaka Al-Matar, who is right towards the back of the field as they've gone through the halfway stage. It is Hatha Al-Kalam who is now taking the lead, but travelling strongly is Motta Better. And here she goes. She takes the lead. Motta Better has gone on by a length and a half. Second position for Ayla Malik, trying to bridge the gap all the time is Ablik wide. Between those is Hatha Al-Kalam, and then came Ganabi as they race inside the final furlong. We're seeing a very good filly here, returning to winning ways. Oisin Murphy will ride a double in the colours of the white stable. It is Motta Better, who is simply different league. Wins by a wide margin, goes on to score by 10 or 12. It was Ayla Malik home in second. They were followed home then by Mutarami with some nice late progress. Motta Walia was next, and also, of course, Motta Wathabar may have got some minor money. Everybody knew that Motta Better, Oisin Murphy, was simply just too good, given a very, very nice ride, a cool ride for one of the leading names in global horse racing. Drama at the start. Asil came down. The loose Asil carried on. Khalid Al-Mamoni unshipped. Hopefully we'll get some positive news shortly. But a wide margin winner here. Motta Better in a time of 1:54.98 is absolutely hosed up in the end. Ayla Malik home in second. Still confirming the minor money. They're still finishing, in fact. Motta Better, though, is home and hosed. Takes her career tally to 4 wins from 7 starts. That's why Oisin was flown in the white stable with 2 crucial winners. 12 3/4 lengths the winning distance. Motta Better has hosed up.
Well, there's Oisin Murphy. He's here for a purpose. Of course, he's here to try and help the White Stable win the Owners' Championship. He's secured 4 winners in the 2 days so far, and this strong favourite, Motta Fabetta, has bounded clear in the end to beat number 2, Ayla Malek. So minor money goes to the red team in second, Muta Rami 13, and Mutta Watabar in 4. We didn't quite get that commentator's nightmare, Rory, of those two being involved in the finish, but we did get the favourite coming home emphatically in the end.
Yeah, had a clear class edge on these and won very well. The dangers were the 2 red stable runners. Only one of them really turns up, with Ayla Malek running his usual solid race to be second, but this horse was different class in the day. It's been a very, very good season for Motta Fabetta, and this was an important win. Not the biggest race. No. But obviously an important win because it's worth 2 points in the Owners' Championship. We're getting very close to the end of the season, and that puts Prince Miteb's White Stable in a clear lead at this stage. And there aren't many races worth more than 1 point through the rest of the season to claw them back. So to pick up an award race that's worth 2 points is a big deal at this stage of the season. You saw Talal bin Shraim leading the horse back in with a big smile on his face. And normally we get an interview with Talal at this sort of stage, but with lightning in the background, I think it's probably safer for Callum to stay indoors and not risk his life and limb.
Yeah, we should say as well done to Turf and Touchdown. The guys were on earlier, weren't they? Because they made this very much the good thing of the night. They wouldn't be alone in doing that, but let's have a look at it from the start, of course. Drawn wide, drawn in 18. And we're going to obviously lose
Stall 9.
Yes.
Stall 9 ASL will where he's in blue colours with a white cap. So just taking a check and see what happens to him in the first couple of furlongs of the race. Oh, there we go. We see the horse ducking to his left, and Khalid Al Mamoni coming off the other side. I'm not sure what caused that. I don't think it was a stumble as such. He seemed to swerve for some reason. Maybe something got a little bit close to him, and he's taken evasive action. But when a horse swerves as suddenly as that, and you're not expecting it as a jockey, you tend to be left in one place, and the horse ends up in a different place, and there's nowhere for you to go. Hopefully, Khaled's okay after that tumble. It didn't look particularly nasty, but you can't take these things for granted. So best wishes to him. The horse continues perfectly happy, ASL, and actually passes the post in 4th place, minus his rider. And from this point onwards, the race is taking shape as you would expect. We have Ali Alhama setting the pace, number 4 on the inside, setting things up for our favourite, Motta Fabetta. And Oisin looks very, very happy on the outside of this quartet going into the bend. Hatha Al Kalam can't really pick up in the first colours of the red stable on the inside. And it's Ayla Malek in the white cap who ends up keeping on best of the others to finish in second. Sorry, the other way around. Ayla Malek in the red cap running on to finish second as Hatha Al Kalam weakens off the final bend to be unplaced. And then after the race is all over, to spare Mark Francis's blushes, we saw Motta Watabar running on from the rear of the field to finish in 4th place. Muta Rami running the race of his life, the 64 rated horse, to finish 3rd there, and Motta Watabar in 4th. But one-horse race, really.
It was a one-horse race. So just a quick word on the second, because Ayla Malek has gone from a mark of 59 up to 84 very quickly, and there's the Prince coming in. So this is very important to him and everybody in the team.
Yeah, it's not often that you see Prince Miteb come down from his eyrie up above to greet a winner home immediately like this. But for the big cup races, you would see it, and he's come down to the applause here and to get his photograph taken with the winning horse. And as you can see, he's a very happy man at the moment, and he's very happy that he made a decision to bring Oisin Murphy over to deliver these 4 important winners for him so far, and more to come, you'd imagine.
Whoever made that call, whether it was him personally or his advisors, I mean, it was an absolutely perfect call so far, because Oisin has been magical, hasn't he, in these first 2 days of this penultimate week?
Yeah, I can't really lip read, but I think he said to Oisin, the check's in the post. So hopefully that's. I may be jumping to conclusions there. But
look,
yeah,
at the end of the day,
both jockey and owner are very, very happy with the results.
You secure somebody of the calibre of Oisin Murphy to come and do a job for you, and you're not going to be let down. He's had 4 winners. He's had what was it, a couple of seconds, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been absolutely spot on, really.
Yeah, absolutely. He's what, 4 winners, 3 seconds from, I would say, nine rides, maybe.
Yeah, which is
so
which
that's
amazing,
a really good return. When you consider that not all of the stable's horses have been hitting the mark this season, and that's been the issue. Champion owner by quite a big margin last year as well, with the Red Stable having won the championship for the previous 2 years. So Prince Misheb was dominant last season. This season's been an awful lot closer, but it means an awful lot to him to retain that championship, and that's why we're seeing these scenes at the end of the season. Normally, we're kind of winding down post Saudi Cup, but this feels like a really dramatic conclusion.
You want it to go to the wire. Look, we've got a Jockeys Championship that's probably not going to quite go to the wire, but it's been competitive enough. But to see this, you know, this toing and froing between the owners, I mean, we're taking the view now, aren't we, that the White Stable have now gone to the front. They've now got a 3-point advantage, and we're thinking it's enough. But you couldn't absolutely guarantee that.
You can't guarantee it because, again, the auction races won't make. Well, they might do. We do have a Red Stable.
Are these
runner
1-pointers?
They're just 1-pointers. But obviously, we've got another 25 races next week. And you'll have strong representation in most of those races from both stables. So to say, three wins is too much. If in a jockey's battle where there's only so many options that you have, you know, when a jockey goes 5 clear with 2 days to go, I think, well, that's probably it. But we're looking 25 races to go, and you can have 4 runners in each of those races potentially. So there's still a lot to happen in this championship.
Just glancing ahead, we've got 2 cup races tomorrow, and we've got 1 cup and 1 award, I think, next week. So those will obviously entertain those multiple 2 points. They'll be the only ones.
Those will be what we refer to in English football terms as 6-pointers, but are very much 2-pointers here.
Absolutely.
Although they're 4-pointers, aren't they? Because you get 2 points for winning, and you lose 2 points if you don't get it. So they're 4-pointers.
You do. You mentioned those 2 races coming up. 650,000 Saudi Riyal is no mean prize, is it? So not to be sniffed at. So these horses running here. I mean, the next race we've got, I think, the top rated 80. Lots of horses in the 70s and the 60s. These are good races. I mean, in terms of connections and owners, if you can take away, you know, the 50% purse for winning, but even if you can take away some place money, they are well worth being involved in, and somebody's going to get a nice payday.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we go, we're looking at a few highly rated horses here. Nayara rated 80, Anima Nifa rated 75. We'll see both of those in action shortly. Alwela for the Red Stable rated 73. Those are the 3 who rated 70 or higher. Doctora Salwa 69, and then you get horses rated in the 50s below that. So you could easily get a horse rated 50 finishing 3rd or 4th here. 97,500 Riyal for 3rd, 65,000 Riyal for 4th, and 5th place 32,500. Those are, you know, a lot of these horses wouldn't have cost an awful lot. Most of them haven't got much chance of winning handicaps. You know, or you know, some of them haven't even won a maiden for 19,000 Riyal. So to be able to pick up the potential, you know, a big share of 100,000 Riyal just for finishing 4th or 5th is a good payday for connections of a lot of these horses. So there's more intrigue in here than just a case of who's going to win.
Yeah, we've got the fillies coming first, and we've got the colts and the geldings, of course, to come after that. So those are going to be our final 2 races of the night. Still plenty of time for you guys to get involved wherever you're watching from tonight. Let us know where you are. And if you've got a fancy in either of these races. And we've talked about this Owners' Championship. It's a very important Owners' Championship, of course, but on a far, far lower level. It's right down there somewhere. We've got our own little tipping challenge, and Callum still leads the way. 6 winners to my 4 and Rory's 3. But as you continue to point out, Rory, we've got, 10 more races to come. So still time for that to turn around. And we know from past experience that if Callum has a weekday, it is day 3. It is a Saturday. He tends not to perform to his best.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He can absolutely bang in the winners on the first couple of days, and then on the day with all the quality, when you might end up having 8 of the races won by favourites and second favourites, he'll throw a blank.
He's not a weekend person, is he? Not a Saturday person. But
I'd compare him to the kind of golfer who looks a world beater on the first 2 days of the Open and then falls away. I'm too old to be. I would call him a Christy O'Connor. But that really is. I mean,
you're not calling him a choker, then, aren't you? In these situations.
No, Christy was a wonderful golfer, but he wasn't a 4-day player. I mean, that's showing my age, but also Christy O'Connor Senior was kind of before my time. I remember Christy O'Connor Junior playing and very nearly winning the Open at Sandwich. But that's Callum for you. He's one of those players who will
You
go
see, all we're
10
doing
under for the first
now
two
is
rounds.
we're just you know, Callum will be listening to this and he'll be going, you know, you're just making me more determined to play the proper game on
we're
Saturday.
just getting inside his head fundamentally. That's what I'm doing here, and he'll be googling Christy O'Connor and wondering what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
As are you, I know
one
as
or two
well.
others as well, no
There's
doubt,
literally no one in the world who remembers Christy O'Connor Senior.
I do. I'm old enough. But right, race 7 on the way very shortly then. So this is over the 1,400 metres. The early market, by the way, number 3 as expected. Syrah is the 5-4 favourite over the top horse. Al Walia at 100-30 represents the red stable. Oh, how they need a victory. And then 5-1 Anna Monifar, number 4. And we are looking, I believe, at 10-1 and bigger the remainder. Right, let's get some more from Mark Francis.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Race 7, as you say, 1,400 metres, 3-year-olds in action. This contest is sponsored by the Jcsa. The fillies sold at auction in 2023, something Callum will know a little bit more about than I do. The Red Stable can hit back here. They've got Al Walia for Abdullah Alorfi right at the top, rated 73, £4 in favour of Datura Salwa, who is rated 69. Farwas Wanas will certainly be looking forward to the Taif campaign when it returns in July. At 3, market leader, as Daryl says, Naira Khaled Al Mamoni is the 3, drawn in 3. I should say Khaled Al Mamoni. It's now with Berto Ramos, so that is a late jockey change. 4 is Anna Monafar. That is definitely Ahmed Al Azari. 5 is Thra Najad for Sultan Al Mamoni. And 6 is Zor Saleh, the mount of Fahed Al Faridi. 7 is Al Dana for Adel Al Faridi, currently 0 from 7. Al Hashidar, Tariq Al Mansour with a late call up here, gets stall 1 Al Hashidar on start number 4, an opening mark of just 24. Atayeb is 9 for Rakan Al Abeid, 10 Al Wali Tahamar for Iyad Al Tarizi, 11 is the only grey, that is Blue Nail for Naif Al Anazi, and 12 is Ghasana for Mohammed Al Dahab. 13, the Solitaire, looking to play the right hand for Asil Al-Sahani. 14, Mahira Abdulaziz Al-Yesh with a rare ride at this part of the season. 15 is Salad for Abdullah Al-Khamis. 16 is Smit Kana from stall 11, Mohammed Al-Hubail. 17 doesn't go, that is a late scratch, so get rid of 17. 18 is Tasale, the mount of Rayan Alta Ash. 1,400 metres for these 3-year-olds, a contest sponsored by the JCSA. Fillies sold at auction in 2023. Let's go back to Callum.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, back in a hail-free parade ring. It was Summer's weather event midway through that race. Fascinating. And let's start with Al Walia, the 1 here. Spoke to Sami Al-Harabi before the race. He said, look, there's no excuse for the run she had last time. They're hoping she can bounce back. If she does bounce back, she'll be hard to beat here. She looks well. She's a very masculine-looking filly, isn't she? Look at her big head on her. She's a big, strong girl. Certainly precocious enough to do the damage here. And being by Spate Star, she would have been popular at auction. But again, there's to be some money to be made in this race. 325,000 to the winner. Okay, let's pull our way back through them now. I'd like to have a look at the 4 up next. Anna Manifa. This is a really good looking filly. She's caught my eye. She's got a very pretty head on her. She's a little bit long, and you can see she's got plenty of growing to do. She's a bit roached back as well, but she looks very well in the coat. And as well, she'll be an intriguing prospect here. She was a winner last time out, placed on debut as well. She's clearly got ability, and she'd have to have place claims. Here, we'll drop back a couple. We'll look at the 6, Zorsella, who is getting quite worked up in the parade ring. She's been jig-jogging all the way through, and she is getting a bit warm. She'll be a Paddock negative for me, but she's got a good rider on board here. He's looking very happy on board. He'll be very happy if he wins that 325,000, that is for sure. But a Paddock negative for me on the 6. Let's go back now to look at the 11, 12 and 13. They're going to rattle past us now. Blue Nail, the 11 is the first one. So let's have a look at Blue Nail, just coming towards us now. Really nice looking type here, gorgeous grey. She's got a lot of decent form on her hands as well, and hopefully at this level she should certainly have place claims under Naif Al-Anazi. Boys, it's a fascinating race, and it's back to you.
Callum, thank you very much. So let's have a look at some form. We're going to have a look at the favourite, aren't we? First of all, this is Na Ahera. sorry if I'm slightly off mark there, but winning a Phillies Cup. This was 1,600 metres.
Yeah, she won this in good style. Or looked like she was going to win very easily. Instead of getting almost run down late in the day. She beat Jcsa, but she put the race to bed quite early, and then got lonely in front and got closed down, but the front two pulled a long way clear. She's got solid form in defeat prior to this as well, finishing behind Mota Thabata a couple of times earlier this season. This is a much easier race for her, so she's got a big chance of winning here.
Yeah, Nahira, and here's Anna Monife, who wins this maiden. I think this was back at the end of February, last weekend actually.
It was indeed, yeah, so this was an easy win in maiden company. Stepping up now, Anna Monifa, Ahmed Al-Azari on board here and riding again. Took this field apart. Gets a reading of 75 for us. It's got a few pounds to find with Nahira, but she's clearly improving. And the 1400 metres suits her as well, whereas Nahira, you'd say that her best form has probably come at 1600, most of her races over that trip, so she's dropping back by necessity because, you know, this race is available and it's over this trip.
Course.
I think Connections would rather keep her to the 1600, so that brings them a little bit closer together and makes it an interesting one. And of course, I think the tricky thing for Anna Monifa, she's reasonably inexperienced. She's drawn out in stall 18, which is not impossible, but I'd rather have an experienced horse from a wide draw than one who lacks a little bit of experience as she does.
Yeah, I mean, she's rated 75. I would kind of be downgrading that rating just on that last run slightly, which in theory puts Nahira some way further, rated 80.
Yeah, I mean, her rating is really solid. She's been running in Opens and Cup races all season. She won her maiden in Taif over 1,600 metres, and then she's literally run into Mota Thabata 3 times since then, finishing quite a long way behind her over this trip in Taif, in the Taif Cup. But she's run better behind her twice more recently, beaten 7 1/4 lengths, won 5th of 20. 2 starts ago in the King Fahd Cup, which is a Group 1 contest. So, you know, she's progressing all the way through the season. This trip is on the short side for her, there's no doubt about that, but she's mostly meeting horses rated in the 50s and 60s here. She's been running into horses rated in the 90s and low hundreds, well, let's say 90s as a general rule, and running with credit. So this is a significant drop in grade for her, and she should make it count.
She'll make it count, and of course, Wigberto takes over in the plate. Unfortunately, Khalid Al-Mamoni missing out after the tumble.
Wiggy was on board her 2 runs back when she was 5th in the King Fahd Cup, so he knows her well enough, and on paper that was at least as good a run as her win last time out, so that shouldn't be... the jockey change shouldn't be a bother to you.
One I thought was a shade overpriced. I'm not going to tip this horse win. I'd certainly contemplate each way. Is La Solitaire, the 13, who ties in with Al Weha on a previous run. Ran well actually behind Dr. Salwa, the 2 horse as well, back in January. So I think there's a couple of good runs against better fancied horses, and for me, it's a shade overpriced at around 12 to 1, so definitely keep the 13 on.
And not disgraced behind Blay Hanover, of course, in distance last time out either. Could run into a place, but you struggle to see her beating one of the top 2. For me, number 3, Nahira is the clear selection, and she's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, she'd have to be mine as well. Little bonus of Wiggy on board perhaps as well, who knows, but yeah, ratings-wise, £5 clear, could be maybe more than that if you downgrade the 4 slightly. Callum, what's going to be your pick?
Well, we didn't quite have a chance to look at Le Solitaire at the end, but Le Solitaire was the Paddock pick, so I was very happy that Darryl gave her a positive mention on form. I thought she ran a stormer in a very similar race to this. In fact, it was the Kinza sponsored auction race last time out. That was a good race. She got badly bumped and squeezed when just making progress. I'm not sure whether 1400 metres is her trip, but I think she's got place claims, and she looks a picture in the parade ring. Intrigued to see what the 3 does. Nahira got a little bit worked up in the prelims. I thought Anna Monifa was the horse that handled everything the best of 4. Obviously, this is a big step up in class compared to the fairly average maiden she won last time, but she'll be an intriguing prospect. Aldana has been there and done that. Would be no surprise if that horse could bounce back to some level of form. At the start of the Riyadh season, I thought Aldana would be quite a smart type, and Adel Al-Faredi in the saddle is no negative. We'll try try and get you an update on Khalid Al Mamoni as soon as I can. A little bit hard tracking down people at the moment with all the weather issues going on, but I will try and get a word on that jockey as soon as I can and let you know. But La Solitaire will be the pick for me in this one. Mark Francis, it's a tricky race. We've got a clear standout on ratings. Are you going that way as well?
It's hard to ignore in their era, rather. 6-5, shortening at the top. But Al Walia, I think, definitely deserves a mention here. I think the Red Stable was certainly not out of this Owners' Championship. They'll certainly have plenty of bullets to fire next week. They are not going to give this up easily. As Darryl highlighted, a couple of cup races and an award race to come. Otherwise, it's single-figure winnings. So Al Walia, I think the Red Stable could bounce back here. I certainly respect Neira at the top. Anna Monafar is next in 5-1, drawn out in stall 18. Daktura Salwa is a tie force, 7-1. That's short enough, and the rest have plenty to do. So Neira slots forward into stall 3 now with Berto Ramos, with Khalid Al Mamoni unshipping in the previous contest. Let's hope that he's okay. I'm sure Callum will update us when he finds out more. Just waiting on Aldana to go into stall 5 to complete the lineup here for this penultimate race on this Friday program. This is a filly sold at auction in 2023, sponsored by the Jcsa. 7 furlongs as Aldana completes the line for Adel Al-Faredi, and we're set. Stand by, good luck. Clear from behind, clear from the front. They're off and racing. 1 or 2 very slow to go, including Tassale, and also well back is Salad, who has given the rest of the field around 5-6 lengths. Awali Tahama also trails at the back of the field. But good pace being set here. Nearest to is La Solitaire going forward with Daktura Salwa. Pink Cat Thra Najad is also moving through the gears. The blue headgear of Tassale has recovered from that slow beginning. It's also right up there with Blue Nail. Extreme left for Anna Monefar. Then comes Neira with the distinguishing yellow cheek pieces, currently running in around 6th position as La Solitaire just loses a couple of positions. Al Walia is next, further out to find Madhira. Then races next in the field alongside Madhira is Smith Kana. Right towards the back of the field, Gashana doesn't have many behind. Likewise, Aldana Al-Hashidar has dropped away tamely as Anna Monafar now cruises into contention on the outside of Thrana Jad 1 and 2. Daktura Salwa now trying to recover in 3rd place. Then came Neira, who has plenty of ground to make up. Blue Nail is next with Smith Kana as they enter the final furlong. It is Anna Monafar in search of back-to-back wins here, is now extending that advantage to 3 or 4 lengths. Aldana it is, motoring towards the finish. Here comes the line. Anna Monafar, far side of Aldana. Anna Monafar held on. In second, Aldana, who got going very late in the day. Thrana Jab up for 3rd place, and they were clear of the remainder. Anna Monafar, all out in the closing stages, has won for Ahmed Al-Azari. Now 2 wins in a row for this daughter of Mucho Gusto. Away to the right, Anna Monafar, flat to the boards, wins by half a length. Aldana absolutely flying for Adel Al-Faredi, but remains a maiden from 8 starts. Is it as easy to say that she wants further? I'm not too sure. Loses out in the end, 4 beats 7, 1:28.17 is the winning time. Anna Monafar is the winner, to Aldana in 2nd place. Neira just never really got going in the closing stages down the middle of the course. Thrana Jad got 3rd. It's going to be tight for the very minor money here. Neira this side did get 4th place ahead of Zor Saleh the far side. Smith Kana was next, then came to Saleh. Anna Monafar wins. 4 beats 7, 5, 3 and 6.
Yeah, Anna Monifar, who was officially the 2nd highest rated on the back of the maiden success. Lightly race type, Rory has just had the 4th run, 2nd win. Aldana 7th second, Thra Nash 5 in third, and Nahira, the favourite, was back in fourth. It's 4-7, 5 and 3.
Yeah, the market leader, the top rated Nahira, the worry with her was dropping back to 1,400 metres. All her form has been at 1,600, and she just didn't really cope with that. I thought she was going to stay on well from off the pace, but she made a little bit of headway into fourth place and then couldn't get any closer. Thranaj in third and Aldana in second were slightly surprised. They both shown ability at times, but neither of them were in particularly good form at the moment, both rated in the mid-50s. So again, this is what I said about this race. You're going to get horses rated in the low to mid-50s with a chance of getting a chunk of this prize. We ended up one of them getting 130,000 real, one of them getting 97,500 for finishing second and third. But the big prize, the 325,000 real to the winner, went to connections of Anna Munifa, who's, I would say, taken another step forward, but you could argue in beating those horses rated 54 and 55, she only had to run to the same level as she did last time out when winning her maiden. But she's clearly going the right way, lightly raced. It was a tough enough race she was in on her second start, and she's learned a bit with each run and stepped forward again to overcome a wide draw.
Yeah, to overcome that wide draw, as you say, stall number 18, it proved to be no hindrance at all for Anna Monifar, who has taken the first of the features here in terms of the prize money. Anyway, we've got the Colts and Goldings equivalent to come, which will wrap things up for us in about 25 minutes time. Third favourite, returning at 5-1 in the end. I think on the international markets was the winner. Let's head back to Callum for some reaction.
Anna Monifar is your winner of the very valuable Jcsa Fillies sold at auction contest, giving her owners a cool 325,000 Saudi Riyal. She's now 2 from 4 in the career. That was a very good performance from her. She absolutely cruised into the race. They gave me shades of that Purebred Arabian we saw earlier on, just coming wide around the bend and just absolutely cruising by them underneath a motionless Ahmed Al-Azhari. Who is your winning rider as well. Look, I mentioned when I saw her in the parade ring, she handled everything really, really well, but she's very long. She's going to grow into that frame for sure. Aldana running a mighty race back there in second as well, which is good to see that horse bounce back to form, because she's been a little bit all over the place, and with a rating of 54, she could be fun to play with next season in handicap company, because she'll be around 60 rated, and she's far too good for a 0 to 60 handicap. Your winner, though, of this contest, Anna Monifar.
Well, we can have a look back at the race again. The favourite was drawn in stall number 3, blue colours, white cap, just under a bit of pressure trying to hold a pitch early doors. I think it was Jcsa Salwa who was the first to go on in those yellow silks.
Yeah, and you're right there. That was Jcsa Salwa showing early pace, and Thranaj is the one in the pink cap who took over fairly quickly, and Thranaj was right up there until they finished holding on to finish in third place in the end. So the speed has held up. Our winners got across from a wide draw to dispute second place. Wider than ideal off the bend. That was the worry for me, but it doesn't seem to have bothered her in the end. She's been able to hold her pitch pretty well, and has won this race in good style. Obviously, as I said, the second and third aren't particularly highly rated, but they shaped contrastingly. One of them has got the run of the race from the front. One of them has come from last place, coming into the bend, or second last place, to come with a storming run through beaten horses, Aldana. Both probably slightly flattered by the run of the race, whereas the winner, by definition, being drawn out in stall 18, had to go wider than ideal, but showed pace to be handy all the way. And you'd give her credit for being a little bit better than the bare result. And she's clearly thriving, having won her maiden last week. And connections will be sad that the season's ending so soon.
Yeah, I think I underestimated it a little bit in my sort of preamble here, but she's beaten runners who are rated in the mid-50s and probably weren't necessarily expecting to be taking a share of the prize money. Maybe Aldana to a degree, but.
Yes, but again, the beauty of these races, and the Colts race will be even more so, that horses with fairly moderate recent form have got good chances of getting involved there, because there's no real standout in the Colts race. And again, we're seeing a lot of different colours. A lot of the owners that we're seeing represented here might only have 1, 2, 3 horses, whereas a lot of the bigger races, you're seeing stables who've got huge strength, often winning those races. So it's nice to see different faces in the winners' enclosure.
It is, and it's interesting, isn't it? The fillies race there plays out. We had a horse rated 80, who obviously was unplaced. The winner rated 75. We're about to see the colts and the geldings, and generally speaking, I think with very few exceptions, Alouaf, the 3, who's going to be favourite, likely favourite, 15-8 on the international odds, is in the 70s, Rory, but you know, few in the 60s as the prize is given out. Nice big check as well, and you know, this means a lot.
It does, yes. It would mean a lot to me to pick up a cheque for that size as well. But yes, we're used to the really big prizes being for the top-rated horses, and only the top owners really have the access to those, unless you're very, very lucky and you pick up a cheap horse who turns out to be a superstar. But in these auction races, you know, fairly ordinary horses can pick up a good prize. Obviously, our winner looks reasonably progressive here, but it's a big payday for people who work hard to get small races on the board.
Yeah, what are connections? What are the winning rider as well? Ahmed Al-Azhari. Lots of correspondence still coming in. We do thank you for getting involved on the chat this evening. And Mal has just joined us. Mal was with us, I think, last weekend, and he says, got to rely on the lucky last. Come on, Callum, we need a big one, he says, to which Life is Blessed replies, Callum who? How could you? Life is Blessed. Come on. Life is Blessed has been with us all night, though, and he's going to play 12, 13, 14 in the last. Roberto says the next race is the last for me. Unfortunately, Roberto, it's the last for us all. You're going to be with the 19. He likes Luis Morales. That's Saudi Act. And Life is Blessed actually says, I can see the 19 winning. So he's maybe going to jump on board as well.
He's arguably a little bit disappointing, Saudi Act, given he had a reasonably big reputation early. Well, he looked promising early on. He hasn't quite delivered on that, but he's got the form to go reasonably close in this, and plenty of people out there seem to fancy him as well. Didn't run badly at all last time out. Back in maiden company, finishing 4th to Min Xuan over a 1,200 metre trip that would be inadequate. So back up to the 1,400 metres here. He must have a very good chance. Oh, sorry, no, I say 1,600 metres for the Colts race, isn't it?
Yes, it is, isn't it? 1,600. And I was about to say before we went to the presentation that, generally speaking, the Colts are lower rated. I mean, probably that's unfair to say. The better horses in terms of the fillies were higher rated. Probably there's more in the mid division.
There are, yeah, so more sort of
50 horses or
high 50s. Yeah, no superstar in this race, and you know the short price favourite coming from the same stall as the winner of the last race, and we've seen that there's no problem being drawn out in stall 18. We've seen several horses over the last couple of days win from very wide draws. Alouaf, arguably his trip would be 1,400 metres. So that's a slight question mark. He's been running okay in better races of late, but he doesn't have that big an edge for this you know, he doesn't look like any kind of mortal lock, let's put it that way. Very open race.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've got any locks in this contest at all. Alouaf then at 15-8 on the international odds, leading the way. In front of second favourite, actually, is Aziz Al Muhammadia, who is on 5-1. Right, here's Mark Francis with those all-important runners and riders.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Time for the Colts and Geldings to go then. Upper furlong here, as you say, 1,600 metres for the nightcap. Sponsored by the Jcsa. Colts and Geldings sold at auction in 2023. We've had plenty of winners from wide post. Ekramar doesn't have that to worry about. He's drawn in stall 3 for Abdullah Al Sayedi. One of 2 greys is the 2 Al-Bas Alash Hab for Abdullah Al Farouz. Very much a mouthful. 3 Alouaf, favourite. Fawaz Wanas drawn in 18. 4 Aziz Al Muhammadia Rayan Al Taesh is the 4. 5 is Fala Zain from Mohammed Al Daham. Quiet night so far. 6 is the well-named Saudi King for Fahed Al Faradi. Maidens all the way then. 7 Akko Fawa is the mount of Iyad Al Tarizi. 8 is Al Borj Wazay for Tariq Al Mansour. That one's drawn in stall 1. 9 is Al Dazi for Abdullah Al Hussein, and 10 Al Mitaib Rizdan drawn on the other flank. 19 Rakin Al Abaid on board. 11 is Al Kimar Ahmed Al Tayar. 12 is Ashgar Desert drawn in stall 2 for Adel Al Faradi. 13 is Fal Al Shimal for Asil Al Sahani, gets an opening mark of 52. 14 is Fiery Aru drawn in the centre for Abdullah Al Lofi. Bajan is 15 for Nafa Al Anazi. 16 Nahar, stall 20 for Mohammed Al Hubail to overcome. 17 is Kashush for Abdullah Al-Kredis. Renard, well drawn in 5 for Abdullah Al-Khamis. Final 2 runners of the night then, 19 and 20. Saudi Act then, 0 from 9 so far, as Rory highlighted, been a little bit frustrating to follow. Luis Morales on top. And the red stable have one final chance to close the gap on the white stable, Wadan. In the colours of Prince Faisal bin Khalid for North Al Mudiani. They are the runners then for the final race of the programme. We can see Ekramar. Let's see Callum Helliwell for one last time.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, horses in the parade ring. Just a very quick update on Khalid Al-Mamoni, who took a tumble in race 6. He caught a leg on a stool, and he will be just being transported to hospital for further assessment. We will let you know more information when we have it, but I imagine we will get that tomorrow. Ekrama is your first in this final race. This is the one, looks really well. I saw it with a standout very early on coming around here. It's had plenty of starts. This is start number 11. Is a winner, and certainly for me has to make the shortlist. Really good looking individual here. Palace Malice is the sire. Don't know very much about the pedigree. Let's go back now to the 2 Al-Baz Al-Ashhab. This is the one that's a bit of a mouthful for poor Mark Francis to say, but comes towards us now. Won't be hard to spot. Gorgeous steel grey here. Nice type. Not the best of walkers, if I had to have one negative about it. Guys leading it up aren't really giving it the big one, but I would say isn't the best of movers. Looks fit enough to do the damage today, and is a one-time winner from the 3 starts. Pulling back to the 4 and the 5. These are the next 2. Aziz Al Mohammedia looks really well in the prelims for connections who know how to get a good one ready. They'll be looking forward to this one. The rider on board, Riyadh Al-Taresh, has had a quiet week, but he'll be hoping for some success here today. Then you've got Fala Zain. I'm intrigued by this horse. Really intrigued. A very leggy type, not your typical Samar Al-Dahani, but not your typical run in the UK, come here, Al Sabah style. So really nice looking type here, I thought. Leggy, may need a bit more time, might really be one for next year, but looks fit, and connections can never be ignored. The 7 is gorgeous. This is the next one coming towards me, the chestnut with the big white face. This is Akufawa. Looks really fit and revved up for today. Again, another one who's had plenty of experience, but with a good second last time out, would be no surprise if she went one place better here today. As we motor our way through them, as they continue to come towards us. The next one we will have a peep at will be number 14, I think it was, wasn't it? 14 or 15, sorry, 15 is the Hajan was the next one we were going to take a good look at. This is in the green and yellow colours. Naif Al-Anazi in the plate, and Naif will be fairly happy with this as he comes towards us now, because this horse, Hajan, looks really well in the prelims. As you can say, a very mature type, walks with a really loose style. Naif looking resplendent on board as well. Naif, look at you, looking fantastic there, unbelievable. Looks like very royal. She's a lovely horse as well you've got underneath you. Walks out nice and well as well. Very loose mover. That would be on my shortlist. And the final one is really a horse for connections. The 16, Nahar, will be the last one we look at. This one is owned by Cristiano Ronaldo's teammate at Al Nassr. The intriguing thing about this, Cristiano was with us during Saudi Cup Week. Is he here today? Mohamed Al-Habair will hope so. He'll be hoping that this horse can come home in front. Probably not the pick of the paddock for me. That goes right back to the 15, I think. Hajan, I think, is going to be the pick of the yard for me. Just looks really well and loose underneath Al-Anazi.
Thank you very much, Callum. So here we go, last roll of the dice, and once again a nice valuable prize for those fortunate enough to have a runner, as we've been saying, 650,000 Saudi Riyal up for grabs, and Alouaf is a warm order here in the market at 15 away. It's the top rated, Rory, 73, which puts him, by my calculations, about £8 clear of anything else. Is that enough to win it?
No, I don't think it is, because it's his 2 runs at this trip have seen him finish 7.5 lengths, 5th of 18 behind Yan Mansour, and then 10th of 20, beaten 17.25 lengths behind Taj Bladi. Obviously, that was in a very hot contest in the King Abdulaziz Cup, which we saw earlier on. But his best form has come at shorter. He was a respectable 6th over 1,200 metres last time out. Placed 3 times over 1,400 metres before winning over that trip here in December. And I have to say that I think the 14 is probably ideal for Alouaf, and with not an awful lot in hand of these rivals, he might find that this longer trip stretches him enough to see him beaten.
Yeah, I was happy to try and take him on. I wasn't totally convinced that his figure necessarily was solid and was leaning more towards probably the 2 to most degree. I think Bars Al-Ashab, who won a maiden over the 1400s, only had 3 outings and then ran over 12. And obviously this is the jump up the other way, isn't it? To 16.
Yeah, he
progressive.
was 6th to Ganabi last time out, and he had Falazain, I believe, behind. No, sorry, not. He had Aziz Al Mohammedia behind him that day, who was 8th in that small field. Perhaps both of them just having a prep for this in that contest. There wasn't an awful lot between first and last in it, and I could see the pair of them doing a little bit better here. But Albaz Al-Ashab also not proven at this trip. He's lightly raced. He's certainly better at 14 than 12, but whether he stays this trip is open to doubt. Whereas I know that Aziz Al Mohammedia does stay the trip. Despite winning his maiden at 1200 metres, he was a good second 2 starts ago behind Ganabi over 1600 metres, and then couldn't match that form over shorter last time. So I could see him bouncing back. But I'm going to take a chance on Falazain, who's arguably been a little bit disappointing since debut, but he went straight into cup races after winning a maiden first time out. So he won his maiden in November over 1400 metres. He then stepped up to 1600 metres behind Taj Bladi, beaten 6 lengths that day. That's very good form. Taj Bladi obviously won the big Group 1 here last month.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a good piece of form. Was a wee bit disappointing stepping up and trip to 1800 metres behind Falkar again in a top class contest. That was the Prince Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Faisal Cup. And then he dropped to 1200 metres last time out and was behind Karami. But I think that the return to 1600 metres, which is probably his ideal trip, certainly his career best effort came over this trip. Can see him bounce back to form, and we saw him looking really well as he walked out onto the track under Callum's watchful eye. Representing Tamer Al-Dahani and Mohammed Al-Daham, who haven't had the greatest weekend so far, but they very, very rarely go home empty-handed.
Well, they may not go home empty-handed here. The market is certainly showing a bit of interest in Falazain, who's 8s into 7s. Likewise, Ashgar Desert, who I thought was quite interesting at, obviously a slightly bigger price than the market leaders under Adele. With the
he's the real dark horse of the race, really, isn't he? Ashgar Desert only had the 2 starts so far. Ran well in a maiden behind the very highly regarded Jeddah Beach on debut. Quite a controversial contest that, but he shipped well in 4th. And next time out, he stepped up to finish 3rd to Mahalhal in an open over 1600 metres. So needs to improve again to win this, but he's clearly stepped forward from first run to second. Jeddah Beach immediately went on to win a cup race on his 2nd start. So Ashgar Desert is the one who's the most likely to take a step forward here, I think. So he is very interesting. As I said, I'm going to take a chance on the Tamer Al-Dahani runner, but Ashgar Desert would probably be top of my list of dangers.
Yeah, only rated 58, but probably worthy of more than that. And Roberto's put the 12 on top of the 19, actually. So he'll be encouraged by those words. 12 over Saudi at the 19. 15 away, Alouafta remains the favourite. So life is best back on to say good luck to everyone in the last. Right, I'm going to take 2 then. Bars Al-Ashab as my selection, and you're sticking with the 5 then, obviously.
I'm going to stick with Falazain. Yeah, there are 2 or 3. There are any number of potential dangers in the race.
Absolutely.
But I think Falazain might be capable of belatedly showing improved form in a more realistic race than he's been in of late.
Right, down at the start. Let's get to Callum, then your final pick of this second night this week.
Yeah, really happy to hear that Rory likes Falazain, who I think was massively overpriced at 8th, and I still think is at 7th, really, as Rory's put very correctly, that this horse just has a very good winning debut and then has been chucked into cup races for the last 3 starts, back into a winnable contest for connections who love a win. Tamer Al-Dahani will be champion trainer, and Mohammed Al-Daham still trying to chase down that champion jockey crown as well. Remember, international jockeys champion Mohammed Al-Daham. Falazain, very leggy individual, probably one more for next season, but certainly looked very well in the prelims. I am going to stick with my pick of the paddock, Hajan, the 15, Naif Al-Anazi. on board. Just a consistent type, really, who, look, with a very loose move in the parade ring. I love a horse that walks with a bit of swagger, and he was dripping in swagger. So hopefully Hajan can be a big winner to wrap up what's been a very enjoyable card here. Yes, we've had to bear the brunt of the weather. We've been a little bit delayed, but I think everyone involved at the Jcsa has handled it very well. You're always playing sort of behind the 8 ball when you've got weather like this, as it just comes in waves. But I think we've had a really good evening of racing. 3 cracking races on the turf. The dirt highlight really lived up to expectations. Motta Sabetta, absolute star. And hopefully we'll get one more star in the shape of Hajan. Mark Francis, for the final time, it has been a pleasure as always. I will see you on Tuesday. Best of luck with this final call.
Yes, thanks very much indeed, Callum. My final race of the season. Absolutely a privilege to be back out here in Riyadh. Quickly the campaign has gone as well. Starting halfway through October. Here we are, the 2nd week of March, with just 4 more meetings to go. Do not miss those on the Jcsa. Loved every minute of being part of the Jcsa, the channel, as a presenter, as a commentator. Hope that everybody at home is still enjoying the coverage, as we all have throughout the winter. So final 3 stepping forward then. 1,600 metres the trip here for this contest for Colts and Geldings sold at auction in 2023, sponsored by the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia. Just waiting on Aziz Al Mohammedia and Fala Zain to go forward. For what it's worth, I'll put forward Ashgar Desert to get off the mark here for what will be, hopefully, perhaps the champion jockey Adel Al-Faredi. Hasn't completely wrapped it up. It's a short price to collect the Jockey Championship this year. They are lined up for the finale here on this Friday programme. Well past midnight local time. Just about set. 1 mile ahead of them. Colts and Geldings. And they're off and racing. Akko Fawa a step slow away, so too was Fala Al Shimal, and also restrained towards the back of the field is Hajan in the green and yellow. As they gallop freely through the first couple of furlongs. Ekramar, nearest to us, Yellow Jacket, is right well to the fore with Fiery Aru. They are not hanging around here, clearly in a rush to get home, some of the pilots. Wadan Red Jacket is also moving through gaps with the purple colours of Saudi King. Away to the left is Fala Zain, as there are 5 abreast here as they complete their journey down the end of the back straight. Alouaf, market leader, is in the next wave with Al-Kimar. Also in that cluster is Aziz Al-Mohammedia as they take the left-handed turn. Also in that cluster is Al-Mitaib Risden, who is a further length and a half ahead of Albas Al-Ashhab, who is starting to improve its position. Then came Ashgar Desert, who is picking off 1 or 2 early scouts. Next in the order is Renar. Right towards the back of the field, Fal Al-Shimau is still well behind. So too Al-Borj Wazay, and Al-Dazi is the back marker with Hajan, as they are now entering the home straight with 2 furlongs to go, and Fala Zain is kicking clear. Al-Kimar now takes second from Saudi King third. Running on well is Albas Al-Ashhab into 4th position. The rest are well beaten, including market leader Alouaf. Sent into the final 200 metres. Fala Zain all out the far side. Al-Kimar with a late challenge down the middle of the course. Fala Zain far side. Al-Kimar coming all the time. Al-Kimar this side is just going to tip out Fala Zain. Cracking finish to the finale. Then came Hajan, who absolutely screamed home into 3rd position late on. Nahar was next in 4th. Al-Kimar at a time of 1:41.48 has upset Fala Zain in the closing stages. What a finish to the finale. Just the 500,000 SAR running between them. Fala Zain just could not get to the line in front. Al-Kimar has spoiled the party. This side for Ahmed Al-Tayar. A big race victory for Ahmed Al-Tayar, and Fahad Abdelaziz Al-Jabbar wins by a neck. Fala Zain, no luck today for Mohammed Al-Daham and Thama Al-Dahani. 11 beat 5, a neck was the winning distance. Hajan, who was plumb last after a furlong, has come through to take 3rd, albeit a further 7 lengths behind. Nahar fourth, Al Ghazi, another one who was right towards the rear, was next across the line. Al Kimar beats Falazain, Hajan there in third, Nahar fourth, Al Ghazi and Aloha. Cracking finish in the finale, 11 beat 5, 15 and 16. Mark Francis signing off.
Sultan Al-Ghazal.
Well, a dramatic finish to our last, and poor Aurora, you must feel like you've had the race taken away from anybody else who backed Falazain. It was well supported because Al Kimar has got up in the closing stages. Horse 11 beats 5. Hajan's run well, that was Callum's selection in third place, and Nahar 16 back in fourth. So 11, 5, 15, 16. It's another whopping price winner, Rory. It's been a night of those. 20 to 1. Let's have a look back. How Al Kimar has pounced eventually to win this. Came out of stall 6. Falazain was in 15 in the green and the white colours.
Yeah, and there was a very strong early pace. We saw a Krama in the yellow colours, and from stall 3 got out quickly and headed towards the rails. Also speed up early with Saudi King. Falazain himself went forward early. Al Kimar wasn't too far off the pace in the early stages, just got a little bit outpaced briefly before staying on strongly to win. Not Nahar. Number 20 was up there in the very early stages as well.
Yeah,
Wadan in the red stable colour. So lots and lots of pace on. Your eye was immediately drawn though to Falazain, who seemed to be travelling best of those, despite going 5 wide into the bend. That hasn't been a problem today. It has been at earlier meetings, and he seems to be travelling very well. But the eventual winner is tracking him through in the blinkers. Number 11 in about 4th place at this stage. But Falazain's travelling so well under Mohammed Al-Daham, you think it's just a case of when he presses the button. Did he press it slightly too soon?
That would be the question, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's easy to say that after the event, but he doesn't ask for everything until he straightens up, and that's par for the course for Mohammed. You don't really want to ask for an effort while you're still on the turn, but now he straightens up for home, and the horse, he needs to be reminded now to go and win his race. He starts to idle in front. So Mohammed, I don't think had any choice. He couldn't have held on to him any longer than that. And he's kicked 2 or 3 lengths clear, and it looked like the race was in the bag. But you just see him, ears pricked, idling, in need of being kept up to his work, and just gets run down by our winner, Al Kimar, very close to the line, who wins by a neck in the end.
Yeah, it was a case, wasn't it? I think if you're on the Falazain, there was money for Falazain before the race as to whether he could hold off, but Al Kimar has taken the last race, and with it, of course, for connections, that hefty share of the 650,000 Saudi Riyal. Now, there've been surprises, plenty of them tonight. Big price winners are probably 4 or 5, double-digit price winners. However, it has been a case of Ashim Murphy to the rescue for short odds backers, because he's added to his 2 winners from last night with another 2 this evening, and they were both strong favourites, Rory, Believe Porto, and then of course Mutabetar, who came on to win and landed the skinniest odds of the night.
Yeah, about 2 to 5, the opening price we saw about Mutabetar. Believe Porto, the price I had scribbled down on him was about 4 to 5. He might have been come in for a bit of support, 8 to 11 at the end. Yeah, but he's gained his 3rd win over this 2100 metres trip on turf. We're about to see him in action now. Oshin gave him a really patient ride. You see him on the outside with the white cap and the white flash on his face, coming from back in the field to run down Musher Jumbo, the grey. Showed a really good turn of foot. He did come off a straight line as he was asked to quicken, wheels spinning a little bit there, but he showed a really good turn of foot to get to the front, and the race was quickly in the bag. He was beaten in a red hot Group 2 race last time out, but had previously won the Prince Khalid Abdullah Cup over this course and distance and looked very good. You see Musher Jumbo kicking for home there off the bend, but Oshin, despite the fact that he was last in the early stages, was always travelling very well on a horse who had the ideal run style for this type of race, and you see him suddenly loom up. He almost collides with Musher Jumbo as he quickens in the first place, but he gets away from him so quickly, there's no question of the runner-up being in any way unlucky. Yeah,
that showed it perfectly, didn't it? He was making so much progress so quickly, he did almost collide with his rival, but he's He's gone on, he's pulled away, and of course that was a significant winner because that took the White Stable to the head of the championship over their big rival. So we were saying at the time, could that be the key? Might they not be headed now, Rory, with what just these 4 meetings to come? And they were going to cement their position, weren't they? Subsequently in the award race with the double points, we're going to see Motate Betar, which I'm still struggling with from time to time. I get it right more often than I get it wrong, but I still need practice. But, all right, 50-50. But Asheen again, very much, to the rescue here to further increase the
He was always well positioned, didn't have to come from behind in this race, riding a horse with an awful lot of class. The race was set up by one from the same stable, making sure this was an honest pace. And Mota Thabata, who's been running in better races this season and running tremendously well, got back to winning ways, having finished second in a Group 1 last time out, and Ocean didn't have to break sweat to win this with plenty to spare. Always in control of the final bend. 2 Red Stable runners looking to claw back an advantage in the owners' championship, but they were both brushed aside on the home bend, and Ocean was able to come home in splendid isolation on Mota Thabata.
Yes, well done. Nailed it. Not the easiest horse to pronounce, but look, a very popular runner, of course, and winning off a mark of 99 gave Asheen his second win of the night, his 4th winner inside the 2 days, and we will not be shocked, will we, if we're sat here this time tomorrow night, Rory, and perhaps we're hailing more success for Asheen Murphy.
Yes, I mean he's come here to do a job. It was a very, very important job for the yard. Again, not the biggest weeks of the season traditionally, but a very, very close race for the championship, which clearly means an awful lot to both Prince Faisal and Prince Miteb. Prince Miteb very, very keen to uphold that championship win he had last season. It was a big breakthrough for the stable, and it looks like I think he has not all the guns at the moment, but he's got a very strong. A very strong stable going forward for the last couple of weeks. And they've now sneaked into a lead for the first time, really the first time all season.
I mean, having said that, of course, look, there are 4 meetings left. It's not quite over yet. We're talking about small margins. We're talking about a lead of 3 points. It is not impossible. The red team will regroup. They will reevaluate. They will try and make sure they get their best possible entries, of course, into next week. There are still some 2 cup races tomorrow night. We've got an award race to come next Friday.
The first race tomorrow is a fillies maiden. There's 1 from each of the big stables in that. So this is what we're going to have all the way through. We're not necessarily going to have the big stars clashing, but we're going to have maiden races, winners of 1, winners of 2, where there's going to be 1 representative or 2 representatives from each of the big stables, and each of those races threatens to be a little bit of a showdown between the big 2, and there'll be a bit of ebbing and flowing, we would hope, between now and the end of the season. Obviously, depends how those individual clashes go, but this will give us something to talk about now for the next 10 days.
I mean, the thing is, look, it's exciting when one, whether it's a team or owners in this instance, when one team dominate, Rory, and you're hailing somebody winning by a wide margin, but how much more exciting it is when it comes down to this, when it is this close.
It is, absolutely. We've seen Jockey's Championships go to the wire, which made them really interesting. Not normally an owner's championship, but there's so much competition here that really is something to keep us excited.
OK, listen, thank you for your efforts tonight, and thank you, of course, to Callum with some big prize winners, and thank you to you as well. We've had some fantastic correspondence, lots of interest on the chat room this evening, so thank you. And come back and join us tomorrow. We've got 8 more races. We've got the Jcsa Cup, we've got the North America Cup. There'll be the features tomorrow night. We'll be here, hopefully, with the weather a little bit drier from 9 o'clock local time tomorrow night. So we'll catch you here, same place, tomorrow night. Good night.